Chapter 379 Mad Dipper's Showcase of Power. Chapter 379 Mad Dipper's Showcase of Power. Hi. Luo clan's ice and fire lords are nothing to look at either. The shadows let out ghastly laughter, while the other black men looked on from a distance. Qiuyanhai and Xue Qingjian were startled, yet being unable to accept the situation. Charged at them for another attack, it was utterly ridiculous how some profound heaven cultivators were mocking 2/8th layer radiant stage experts. Ice and fire surged once more towards the shadows, but it merely phased through them and made a loud bang far behind them. Those shadows weren't even real to begin with. The two jerked back, to which the shadows cackled louder and sharper. With the blow of an eerie wind, it was now the shadows' turn to go on the offensive with their glinting, curved blades. Boom. The duo sent blows all this time, but not even one was of use. They couldn't lay a finger on them as the shadows drew closer. They shot silver lights at them, forcing the tense couple back. A moment of carelessness was enough for one of the lights to land, dissolving their clothes. It was this close to poisoning their bodies too that only got the two of them even more frightened. And while they were pulling back, the shadows grew cocky with laughter and movements. Qiuyanhai and Xue Qingjian grew grave, unable to block the shadows' advance. And there were still many more of those black men glaring over. As well, Li Jingtian watched it all with a cold, trembling eye. Their cultivation method is like those pygmies' unity tactic, but not quite. The four scheming demons' every move matched flawlessly, in tune with each other, while these guys fought by themselves. There was no mystical art behind it to allow them to phase in and out of reality either. It ought to have the same weakness either way. Li Jingtian's eyes flashed with resolve. The power couple had had enough, by the looks of it. Xue Qingjian cursed back. "Old Li, what are you standing around for? Do something." "Ah," Xue Qingjian cried, getting scared by a curved blade flying at her neck. Qiuyanhai was distressed, yet he was blocked by 6 shadows himself. All he could do was watch his dear wife get skewered. Li Jingtian roared, "They have no bodies. Use soul attacks." The couple woke up to this obvious truth. Of course. We're radiant stage experts, while they're only in the profound heaven stage. Killing with intent may not do them in, on account of their strong souls, but it should give them a pause. 2 hums later, a pulse flashed past Bam. Like a tidal wave, it flung the black men dozens of meters back. The effect perked up the two. They were finally getting somewhere with removing these creepy guys. But it also stunned them as to how these profound heaven shadows had such strong souls. The duo's powerful souls were unable to even make them pause, and only pushed them back nevertheless. They could see a solution to their headaches, restoring their calm while they were calm. The enemy was deadly calm as well, not one bit fazed about the fact that their weakness had just been found out. "Fall in!" From among the calm black observers, one aged and hoarse voice came. The cackling shadows gathered together as they linked. They formed a giant net, floating in the sky as more of them joined. Their soul power surged. Squinting, the couple turned grave as they stepped backward. They had felt it too. The shadows' combined soul power had reached the radiant stage. Unity tactic! Li Jingtian gasped. The black men laughed in pride. A soul unity tactic, to be exact. One made particularly with radiant stage experts in mind. Get ready, attack. The shadows snickered and released a sound at Qiuyanhai and Xue Qingjian, who were balking under the pressure as they pulled back. They fought back with their own souls. Much good did that do. Their soul attacks against the shadows' combined attack was like a breeze against a wall. The two panicked, sweating buckets. What's with these guys? They're way too creepy. No matter what they did, it proved to be pointless. Life and death art then. They had tried it earlier, and it didn't do a damn thing. A stronger attack, but still very much physical, that left backing up more and more the only choice, leading to their increased vexation, and lead to the growing joy of the black men, cackling like victor's whoosh. Li Jingtian flashed in front of the couple, facing the incoming shadows. "Elderly, what are you doing?" Qiu Yanhai shouted, grinning. Li Jingtian's eye shone. Isn't it obvious? Shutting them up. With jumping eyebrows, the couple was still clueless when Li Jingtian made a sign, staring at the shadows. Humph! Ignorant whelps, a Luo clan's elder isn't someone you can understand. Wraith style. Third move, Necro Dragon Screech. Roar. Li Jingtian's roar sent the surroundings rumbling, the image of a dragon charged with claws and fangs bared, ready to tear anything to pieces. The shadows only noticed when the dragon was upon them. Boom! The explosion shook the entire mountain range and cracked the land. The shadows' perfect formation scattered. Like flies, they had no time to make sense of it as they blacked out. Falling to the ground, the shadows scattered a singular strike, wiped out a dozen shadows. Laid to rest for good this time. It's a soul martial art, look out! The black men moved back, losing their previous cool, and watching Li Jingtian with trepidation, unlike the ice and fire lords. Li Jingtian actually posed a threat, sticking his chin out. Li Jingtian laughed, full of himself. Anyone else? The black men looked at each other and started to make tactical steps backward. Yun Clan was overjoyed. Seeing ice and fire lords at a severe disadvantage had them more than a little worried. And then came Li Jingtian, in the nick of time, dispersing the shadow net in a single strike, easing their worries all in all. Their safety was assured. As for the couple, they felt sour looking at Li Jingtian stroking his ego. With so many witnesses, they didn't look the part of elders, unlike Li Jingtian. It was a humble pie neither of them wanted to taste. Old Li, you're really something to know even a soul martial art. How come we've never seen you using it? Shui Qingjian grumbled. Prickled by envy, Li Jingtian scratched his nose. You don't have to be jealous. When we joined the Luo clan, Steward Zhua gave each of us a matching art. Each of us has our own strengths. I was also enticed by that life and death art of yours, but can I train in it? Necro Dragon Screech is a sound martial art, but it is a body martial art at its core. Since you two train by combining fire and water, this art doesn't seem to fit you, does it? The two paused. He does make a fairly good point. They got over it just as fast as they had gotten jealous. Old Li, you deal with them while we bring up the rear. Shui Qingjian looked at the people and said, Let's end this quickly. No problem. Li Jingtian laughed, and shot up. The black men fell back farther in fear of Li Jingtian's gaze, but a cold shout fell from the black cloud above. Humph! Ignorant whelp. You're awfully confident in your parlor tricks. Chapter 380. The Dreadful Black Captain. Chapter 380. The Dreadful Black Captain. Li Jingtian squinted at the sky. Something black was coming down swiftly. At a closer look, it appeared to be a pitch-black chain making rumbling sounds like lightning as it shot. For Li Jingtian, the pressure it released was akin to bearing the full weight of the world on one's shoulders. Everyone's breathing faltered, their feet plunging into the dirt, and their waists bent from the mountain-like pressure. Even eighth layer of radiant stage experts like the odd couple shuddered, the ground cracking beneath their feet in all directions. As for Li Jingtian, who felt the brunt of it, had his face shudder and his clothes rustled. The wind snapped at his face as his feet also sank deeper into the earth. Shocked, Li Jingtian instantly made the connection that this man was unlike those men in black. The men in black were like ants compared to this secretive person. He was the true expert among them. The person was yet to show himself. But the power behind his first strike had put Elder Li on guard, gnashing his teeth. He squinted at the incoming black chain, and his power erupted. Black energy curled around him. Ghostly dragon claw. He chose to face the chain head-on. The voice from the cloud clearly stated his surprise in Li Jingtian's course of action, and praised, "Youngster is quite brave. A pity." Bam! With an ear-piercing explosion, Li Jingtian's black claw tightened on the chain. Yet the chain kept on going, slamming him into the ground. The earth shattered, picking up a huge cloud of dust. Yun Clan cried out, frantic in their retreat. Qiu Yanhai and Shui Qingjian moved in front of the people, to fend off the incoming shock wave. When the dust settled, Everyone gasped in horror. The mighty Li Jingtian was planted in a huge 100-meter deep hole. Pale and panting, he was even bleeding from his mouth. Most shocked was the power couple. They were more clear than anyone about Li Jingtian's power, holding their own against him only by using their combined art. Yet this powerhouse was in a sorry state after just one blow. What kind of power was that? Looking up at the black cloud, the two picked up a person drifting down while holding the black chain. He was 9 foot tall, covered in black armor and a billowing black cape. Just like those men in black, he wore a helmet as well, blocking his features yet not his outrageous aura, instilling fear in all of them, including the elders. The first thought that came to mind was the feeling of death. "Captain," the black men saluted, but instead of looking grateful to their boss for lending a hand, they reeked of fear. The captain ignored them. "The enemy this time is a sharp thorn. It is not your fault for needing me to step in." They all eased a breath. A weight off their shoulders. Their captain had outrageous demands off them. He demanded success on every mission they were sent on, which was pretty much guaranteed when this inhuman power that was their captain joined the fray. The captain had a rule, though, to not let the conceit get to their heads. He would never interfere in a mission. If he did, the mission was deemed as failure regardless of the outcome, and the men would be subjected to harsh punishment, having experienced that appalling pain once. No one wanted to go through such torment ever again. No surprise then that their first reaction on seeing the captain step in was that of lament, but with this being a special occasion and all, the captain waived all punishments. It was also a form of recognition from the captain's part that none of them could finish this powerful enemy, or why else would the captain step in? Bang! Li Jingtian threw the heavy chain to the ground and wiped the blood off his chest. With a jump, he was next to the power couple. The three watched their enemy with heavy silence, their fists shaking. The enemy this time was so strong, it had forced them to join hands, making them feel excited and dreadful. With a flick of his wrist, the black captain pulled back the chain and nodded at Li Jingtian. "Junior, not bad at all. You're still breathing after taking a hit, so you do have some skill after all." "Humph, arrogant punk," Li Jingtian shouted. "You may be strong, but are not in the ethereal stage yet. There's not a single peak radiant stage expert out there who can kill me in one blow." His front was tough, but his insides were quaking. That chain almost took his life. The tiniest slip would have had the chain run through him. The black captain shook his head with a smile. "Welp, are you that ignorant or in denial? Two people may have the same cultivation, but not the same talent. That alone translates to a huge gap in power between them. Huangpu Qingtian was the prime example, and now it's your steward's turn." At merely the third layer of profound heaven stage, he took 2 peak radiant stage experts, all-out blows. It actually reminds me of an old rival of mine. I would feel privileged if I could experience steward, which was masterstroke myself. The black captain sighed at the sky. Strolling down the memory lane, the 3 elders never let him out of sight. "Well, this has nothing to do with your Luo clan anyway. If it were up to me, I wouldn't be facing you so soon either." The black captain waved and said, "Please step aside. Elders, I am taking the Yun clan. Get bent. If I just give them to you, I won't even be able to face the world with shame." Xue Qingjian snapped, shooting for him with Qiu Yanhai. Fast behind, the two were on him in a blink, striking his chest with their combined power, fire and water fusion, life and death art. Boom! With a flash of heat, a white jet shot through the black captain's chest and shot into the distance. It then enlarged into a huge glaring light. Everything was burned to a cinder with a bang. The black chain clattered on the ground, and with the dying of the light, the power couple started panting. There was no one in front of them. The two had finished him off. The two smiled, and the Yun clan cheered. Li Jingtian grinned as well, but the black men's gaze made him think twice. Damn it! Because they were unfazed, their confidence was justified as well. While the couple celebrated, a familiar laughter came. "Ha ha ha! Is this the Luo clan's martial art? Quite impressive, I must say. Today I've truly lived and learned." It's something I have never seen in my life. I see why so many experts got turned on their side. That move might have worked on them, but now. SSS. Black smoke gathered in the form of a person and then a suit of armor. The black captain was back with a smile. I am neither man nor shade, but in between. The same move won't work on me. The two's hearts seized they should have known this by now, with the black men turning into black smoke to avoid physical attacks. Their captain ought to follow the same logic. The earlier move was merely a test run to see if it had any effect, and indeed it didn't, and with the captain being far stronger than his men, it went without question that he could phase in and out, as well the black men had a hard time becoming real once they turned into shadows, while the black captain could do it at will. He was a true undying monster, and a pain to deal with. The couple gnashed their teeth and fell back far too late. However, the black captain's wave brought the chain to his hand, and then it shot towards the couple. The two went flying with blood trailing from their mouths. They hit the ground hard. Grievously injured. Humph! I warned you of this outcome. But since you struck first, you only have yourselves to blame. The cold eyes flashed in the darkness as the chain went for the two. Again, Li Jingtian covered himself in black energy and shot to intercept. Wraith Style's first move. Soaring demonic dragon. Roar. With a black dragon image around him. Li Jingtian clashed with the chain, but it shattered his dragon. Li Jingtian was flung into the air and spat blood falling to the ground. He looked lifeless. At least he had covered for the power couple by sending the chain away from them. You too. Cough, this is as far as I can help you. Li Jingtian was panting, blood seeping into the ground around him. Qiu Yanhai nodded in gratitude. Old Li, you're a true friend. Yun Clan was in tears. Unknown if from fear or from the touching scene, Li Jingtian and the Ice and Fire Lords were usually at odds with each other. But when it came to fighting, neither left the other behind. The black captain paused. Then his tone turned angry for the first time, and he snarled. What camaraderie! Mad Dipper, since you want to save them so badly, you can die first. Whoosh! The black chain came for Li Jingtian to finish the job. Qiu Yanhai and Xue Qingjian struggled, but couldn't budge at all. Li Jingtian sighed at the black chain reflecting in his eyes. Is this how I, the great Mad Dipper, would meet my end? Without even knowing who killed me? Ice and Fire Lords stared and raged, their fists clenched, but in times like these, one particularly familiar voice lifted their spirits. Yo, Spade, were you perhaps left for dead to find the Luo clan's bromance so revolting? Chapter 381. Divine Eye of the Void's Third Stage. Chapter 381. Divine Eye of the Void's Third Stage. With a spatial ripple, an odd red glow shot in front of Li Jingtian before the black chain could land. The chain whistled back with a bang, deflected right back at the black captain squinting. The black captain heard a buzzing in his ear, and he groaned as he blocked the chain. What he didn't take into account was the monstrous power infused within the chain. His block did nothing to stop the chain from knocking his arm into his chest like a cliff had been smashed into him. The black captain flung backwards with an explosion. A hill that was a mile out crumbled, filling the sky with dust. The only sign something ever happened was the deep groove in the ground leading to it. It took everyone's breath away. Everyone was very clear about Black Captain's strength. Not even 3 great Radiant Stage experts could topple him, but for this dreaded man to be blown away, how terrifying would his opponent be? All eyes snapped to Li Jingtian. He was still hanging by a thread, but now a cold figure stood before him, his white hair drifting in the wind, right hand flashing an eerie red and eyes cold as Ice Luo clan steward, soaring demonic dragon Zhuofan. The black men grew tense as they looked at him, their faces twisting slowly. They had all heard of Zhuofan's illustrious name, but seeing him was believing what they had failed to grasp was the demonic dragon's power to push back their captain. It boggled their minds. They knew their captain better than anyone. Yet Zhuofan had flung that monster away in one hit? How is that even possible? The black men turned to the rubble behind them with hope. Captain. SSS. Black smoke seeped from the rocks, reforming into a shadow. After a few more seconds, the armor took shape as well. Returning back to his earlier daunting figure, the black chain flew back in his hand with a wave. Just what is that thing? Zhuo Fan's brow rose. Li Jingtian gasped. He saw Zhuo Fan calm but still advised, Steward Zhuo, watch out. He can phase in and out of reality. Normal martial arts don't work on him. The only way to fight him is with soul attacks. There is such a thing? In that case. His eyes flashed, and Zhuo Fan gave him a deep look and laughed all of a sudden. Having everything figured out, elderly, you guys rest. I'll take it from here. Zhuo Fan walked on with a thin smile. The black captain did the same. Dragging the black chain behind, the clanking sound announcing his enemy's eulogy, the audience never left the two out of their sights. Their very lives depended on the one who came on top among these powerhouses. You cannot lose, Captain! The black men pumped their fists. Yun clan and Luo clan's elders looked at Zhuo Fan's back with faith. The elders had complete trust in Zhuo Fan. Having been around him for a long time, anyone or anything that stood in this little freak's path would stop their marching. He had never lost when he was weak, so how could he lose now when he was at the peak of Tianyu's power? No one dared to blink, lest they missed the two's clash tap. The two stopped 30 meters away from each other. Zhuo Fan sized him up and snickered. The girl's intuition sure was spot on. The other faction even sent someone like you. I thought Elder Li and the two elders would be more than enough. Ha ha ha, how naive of me. You never wanted the Yun clan to fall into someone else's hands. The future of Yun clan is crucial to all factions. It cannot be left to the Luo clan alone. The black captain gave him a cold look, flicking the chain with a trembling hand. That punch sure was savage, reminding me of an old rival of mine. Zhuo Fan curled an eyebrow, a no-brainer for him to guess who this old rival was. He mocked the black captain. Did you win or not? Shuddering, the black captain flashed with unbridled rage. His fists clenched, and he spat. I lost that day, but don't think this match will be the same. That remains to be seen. Zhuo Fan snickered. Unlike him, I am far more complex, not to mention a headache to deal with. Are you that certain of victory? Ha! The black captain's hand tightened, and he flung the chain towards Zhuo Fan's left side. Laddybuck, see for yourself. The black chain snaked in the air and was at the left side of Zhuo Fan's face in a blink. Sneaky and swift, the chain was out of reach of the right hand. Fully grasping Zhuo Fan's weakness in one glance, you old fox! Zhuo Fan grinned, being mentally prepared. This guy had only seen him use the right hand once and already knew to stay clear. The attack on his left side spoke volumes of this guy's experience. Facing such a guy half-assed would give you a one-way trip to hell. And thinking that facing him even full-assed would be a pain, Zhuo Fan had to take it seriously in any case. While the black captain knew Zhuo Fan's right arm was tough, the guy was clueless that his left arm threw a mean punch all the same. With a groan, the nimble chain landed in a dragon claw. The black captain cried, Earth Dragon Claw. Hee, right on. Zhuo Fan mocked him and yanked the chain. The black captain went with it, making a half circle in the air before crashing into the ground. Hard the bang left another 1,000-meter-wide crater. Zhuo Fan grinned. The Yun clan was jubilant, and the black men panicked, Captain. Whoosh! They didn't get to finish, as the black smoke shot from the crater straight for Zhuo Fan. Li Jingtian's side was shocked. Steward Zhuo, look out! Only soul attacks work on that thing. I know. Snickering, Zhuo Fan made a sign and roared. Wraith Style's third move, Necro Dragon Screech, Purple Lightning Flare. Roar. Unlike Li Jingtian's dragon image, Zhuo Fan's dragon was melded with purple lightning, the same lightning Zhuo Fan stored in his divine Eye of the Void. For some odd reason, his purple lightning stock was restored when he cultivated. It was endless how convenient that it happened just in time to deal with this pesky black captain. This was Heavenly Emperor's purple lightning we were talking about. A power above Yuan Qi, and the same one that had struck a sacred beast dead. It doesn't matter if it's soul or flesh. They'll both get skewered. With how Zhuo Fan used it in tandem with a sound martial art, this attack had turned into a literal killing move bam. The black smoke was poised to attack Zhuo Fan when the dragon reached him. He had yet to regain his bearings from the previous hit, and the purple dragon slammed into him. Next, the purple lightning pierced the black mass, drilling an excruciating pain into the skull of the black captain. Then came the constant rumbling from the impact of lightning on every part of his body. Akin to explosions from within, all the audience heard was an endless cry of agony, as the black captain rammed himself left and right like a headless chicken. By the time it all came to an end, the shadow reformed. But on all fours, panting from exertion, the black men were shell-shocked. Not for the life of them could they recall when their captain was in such dire straits. Zhuo Fan snickered. "Spade, now do you know the difference between me and him?" Hi. Everything in this world has a weakness. Don't think for a second that your phasing body will get me exhausted from using only physical attacks. Humph, I know all too well just what kind of specimen you are. It would have been another matter entirely if you were in the ethereal stage. But it just wasn't meant to be. Humph, enough with the theatrics. What can a mere spirit puppet do? Why, you know. Eyes trembling, the black captain watched Zhuo Fan like a monster. To this is a secret art that was lost 5 centuries ago. How? I'm just that clever. Slanting his head, Zhuo Fan showed a cocky grin. Soul puppets are special, but not invincible. You may not have a body, but I have my own way to make sure that you'll stay dead. You showed off in my presence, and you beat my men. Don't even think of escaping. Zhuo Fan cackled, and 3 golden halos shone in his right, a divine eye of the void's 3rd stage, Mirage World. Chapter 382, Mirage World. Chapter 382, Mirage World. An unnatural space, ripples spread around, and the black men and their captain saw the world twist before their very eyes in a blink. Their view was replaced with endless white light with nobody else in sight. Bewildering array! Black Captain cried, "Impossible! When did you set it up?" Ha, that's private information. Zhuo Fan faded in with a twisted smile. Spade, turning into a spirit puppet, gave you a brilliant escape route. A spirit puppet can fade in and out of reality, neither man nor shade. While elusive at the same time, you don't have a body. Your soul has nowhere to hide, making it easy to just poof you out of existence. One other thing, your soul sense is 100 times more acute than a normal person. An advantage, yes, but not when it comes to experiencing pain. Zhuo Fan punctuated by stabbing the horrified black captain with a blade. A wail like no other echoed. Black Captain was soaked in sweat and crumbled to his knees. His eyes were full of fear towards Zhuo Fan Clang. Zhuo Fan had another blade flash in his hand and casually went for his back this time. The black captain jumped back. Just when he thought he was in the clear, the pain came and so did the shrieks. Looking back, he saw a bright, long sword stuck in his back, the same one Zhuo Fan had. Ha. Try not to dodge. You'll only waste your energy. With a wide grin, Zhuo Fan said, "Didn't I tell you, having 100 times more acute soul sense is not all it's cracked up to be, especially when it comes to pain. Props for figuring out this is an illusion. But in here, what's real and fake have been switched. And guys like you, who use phasing as an escape, will find themselves much weaker than anyone else. Not to mention the time here is slower. I may have taken my sweet time poking you twice, but outside, it hasn't been a second. We've got all the time in the world to enjoy. Ha, here everything's an illusion, while outside the pain is real. But the moment you cave in is the second you will die." Zhuo Fan sported a twisted grin and flicked 4 blades into Black Captain's chest. Getting him acquainted with a world of pain, this was Zhuo Fan's illusion, his world. In this world, he made the rules. In here, he was God. The Black Captain was unstoppable outside, while in this illusion, he was being toyed around like a powerless doll, and when the pain proved to be too much for his mind to handle, His soul would just fly away. This was Divine Eye of the Void's third stage, Mirage World, a place where Zhuo Fan created and controlled everything. This breakthrough in Divine Eye of the Void came somewhat fast, having lacked the needed soul power to achieve it. But through the refinement of the Sea Phantom Wings, the strange power of the wings resonated with Mirage World. Leading up to a wonderful coincidence, this also happened to be the straw that broke the back of the pesky black captain and his cronies. Outside the illusion, wails echoed out, jerking the people from shock as they blinked at the prideful Shadow Zhuo Fan was just standing there as well, facing the previously outstanding black men as they rolled on the ground, shouting in agony, like they are getting friggin' tortured. Just how big a gap in strength is there? Steward Zhuo stays true to his reputation as a monster. The elders were dumbstruck. They knew Zhuo Fan was awesome, but this was a bit outrageous. He flipped the tables with just a glare. Yet the glare still wasn't over, and the enemies writhed in pain. The trio looked at each other and sighed. They were Luo clan's elders, Zhuo Fan's backup, but the kid had outgrown them, entering a totally new realm gazing at the high and mighty, white-haired figure, the three sighed. The little freak is so fast, not even our ass-kissing can catch up. How would they know that the Mirage World was sucking Zhuo Fan off soul power? He may look cool standing there, his 3 golden halos flashing in the right eye, sending the enemies into a world of hurt, but his brow was soaked, his mind raving. These damn rotten bastards can still take it. I've got 3,600 blades poked into them, yet they just won't die. This must be the fruit of the torturous training they do each day to build such grit. Just as he finished that thought, a black man held his head with a groan, rolled around 100 times on the ground, kicked his legs at some point, and then just laid there in the real world. Black smoke drifted out of armor. The gear clattered to the floor. Empty Zhuo Fan grinned and spat. It's about time. These spirit puppets are at their limit. Ugh. Case in point, after the first shadow keeled over, a second and third were bound to collapse, leaving behind empty armor. Some didn't even get to fall, their souls gone like the wind in mid-fall. Zhuo Fan eased his breath. The fewer they were, the lesser the strain on his soul. It didn't take long for the hundreds of black men to sputter in smoke, leaving the captain, still hugging his head with a clenched jaw. Zhuo Fan snorted with a wet brow. His soul was reaching his limit, his vision blurred. But he hung on holding the black captain in the Mirage World. Just a little more, and he's done for. Zhuo Fan smiled inside, his knuckles white. Whoosh! A pebble shot for Zhuo Fan at breakneck speed. So small yet containing the power of a mountain, forcing Zhuo Fan to take a pause, yet Zhuo Fan had 2 aces with him, his beastly fists, any one of which could deal with such a feeble threat. His right hand moved and caught the pebble, but it proved to be enough of a distraction for the Mirage World to break the black captain, sense the real world, and jumped through the crack. Steward Zhuo, the guy's escaping! Li Jingtian shouted. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed with 2 golden halos, Divine Eye of the Void's second stage, Void Annihilation. Whoosh! A spatial ripple shot for the captain. He turned into smoke, trying to dodge. But when Void Annihilation passed through him, he felt an agony like never before. Even being a spirit puppet, he couldn't avoid the effects of space cracking. His soul was jolted and wounds laced his mind. The captain cursed inside. What kind of a freak is he? He has so many fancy and powerful tricks. Not even that guy can match. Boom! Void Annihilation ran through 3 mountains before taking to the sky. Zhuo Fan was about to send another one. Black Captain was too scared to take any more blows like that and turned into black smoke. Drifting among the Yun clan, Zhuo Fan held back. Lest he harmed innocents, the Black Captain laughed, having found his window, flying closer to the people. The crowd shrieked as he trapped a 19-year-old kid in his smoke and fled. Help me! The youth peed in fright, shouting his lungs out for help. Zhuo Fan frowned. Spade let him go. Yun clan is under Luo clan's protection. Harm him, and we will become mortal enemies. Humph, do you take me for a fool? You'll kill me regardless. The black captain shouted. Juefan, you got me this time, but we will meet again. See you around. The black captain turned into a black wind and wrapped tighter around the wailing youth. He was gone the next second. Yun Clan watched in worry while Juefan stomped. He looked positively annoyed. Except for that vague quirk on his face, the black captain was long gone. Yet Juefan looked at the clouds. Still Yun Clan was touched by his desolate back. Steward Jua is working so hard for us. He is so heartbroken at the loss of one child. Having rested all this time, Li Jingtian was feeling better. He propped his weak body up and sighed. Steward Jua, you don't have to blame yourself. He only got one man. Claptrap, who's blaming himself here. Juefan snorted. The kid is already an adult, yet he hasn't even awakened his blood a waste. It makes no difference if he's gone. But we are here to look good for the Yun Clan, so we can't harm their people. That sadness and self-blame routine is there to make them respect us more. Yun Clan will be far more willing to follow us now. Li Jingtian's face twitched, and he nodded. Steward Jua is Steward Jua. He will never change. He is clearer than anyone about what to do for his own interests. Chapter 383, Spirit Puppet. Chapter 383, Spirit Puppet. My apologies, everyone. I could not protect you all and let that fiend take someone. I am ashamed. Juefan gasped and said in a heartbroken tone, watching them with a painful look. Li Jingtian next to him felt his face jump around from all the twitching. For the sake of Luo Clan's future, Steward Jua has curbed his mean streak to win their hearts. Or that black captain would never have gotten away, even with a hostage. Yun Clan bowed in gratitude. Steward Jua, please, you don't have to say it. If not for you, all of Yun Clan would have ended in misfortune. You have no reason to feel remorse. It should be us thanking you instead. But what we don't understand is what could have happened for us, who look after the people, to incur such a disaster. The Yun Clan shook their heads. Juefan hid a snicker, bearing only his laments. The world is fraught with evil. Even if you are innocent, the tallest tree always gets the wind. Yun Clan is a special clan that everyone has their eyes on. Now more than ever, with the imperial capital saturated with scums of society, many clans are coveting the Yun Clan. Startled, the Yun Clan reflected on these words, then sighed with remorse. They knew now that it was their bloodline that had brought this calamity, who didn't want to proclaim themselves king, who didn't want to see fate, to act by the heavens' will. But they had the imperial family's protection over the last millennium to curb these thoughts, and when all the top dogs gathered in the imperial capital, they could feel the noose tightening on their throats. It started with clan head Yun Xuanji, a show of the culprit's cruelty and savagery. They did not know who did it, but one thing was clear. Staying put would have been obliteration. Clueless as they were, the herald of their calamity was the one in front of them. The demon turned savior. Steward Yun Xuanji ended up dead because he had forsaken his neutral ground and exceeded his standing. It had nothing to do with the rest of the clan. It was actually Juefan who incited fear in them. Coercing them to flee into his asylum. Yun Clan was made up of simple people who were not sharp enough to guess Juefan's multi-layered machinations. So seeing that Yun Xuanji trusted him, they did the same and fled. But who was the Yun Clan? They literally birthed the high priest every generation. They guided the development of the nation and its policies, and now that they had run away with Juefan, who the hell would answer all those riddles and conundrums? Juefan had just stolen their baby from right under their nose. Hence, as a result, black shadows rained from the sky. All they wanted to do was to guide the sheep back in their pen, but with how their savage act worked only to stoke the dread in Yun Clan, and Juefan's timely arrival had saved their future. It only pushed Yun Clan closer to the Luo clan, snickering in his mind. Juefan put on a particularly heavy look. People, be at ease. As long as Luo clan stands, for the sake of my friendship with Sir Yun Xuanji, I will definitely take you to the safety of Wingay City. That is where you will never have to worry again. Thank you, Steward Joie, for saving us and for everything. We will never forget this. The Yun clan bowed deeply. Joie Fan waved them off, his grin growing so much that it threatened to split his skull. Please, you don't have to do that. You can trust in my clan. My only wish is that you remain in our domain, ha ha ha. Through promises, vague threats, and nudges, Yun clan had become his die-hard lackey. As if the only one in the whole wide world to save them from doom would ever be Luo clan, however, among those who wanted the Yun clan for themselves, Joie Fan was the first to act, stealing them from the imperial family's jaws after a few more pleasantries. Joie Fan took out a vial of recovery pills for the elders. It took them 6 hours to stabilize their wounds. Joie Fan was in no rush to return. He'd only leave when the elders were at least in their peak state. Steward Joie, I heard you call them spirit puppets. What are they? Li Jingtian inquired. Joie Fan derided. A bunch of sorry-ass, lame-ass losers. No one would willingly become a spirit puppet unless forced into a corner. The power couple frowned, looking at him all serious. We all know that only by reaching the ethereal stage can one's mind and soul fuse, allowing them to shed their bodies. Even if the body crumbles, you can just possess another. The three nodded. However, what do you think will happen if the body dies before reaching the ethereal stage and the soul lingers? Will it still survive? Joie Fan said. The three shook their heads. The soul can last for 100 days at most, then dies. Li Jingtian's firm answer came. Joie Fan nodded. It would be fine if it were. But the demonic path has a secret art allowing experts beneath the ethereal stage to wander around as their souls, surviving on the spiritual energy of the world. Hence the name Spirit Puppets. The three sharpened their ears, hanging onto every word. The name says it all. They are puppets of the spirit world. Once a should-be-dead person is refined into a spirit puppet, to say nothing of their soul never growing stronger, he would roam the world as neither man nor shade. A zombie pretty much sums it up. Unless one is consumed by revenge and hatred, one would rather die than choose such a pitiful existence. It is a downright disgrace. On top of that, a spirit puppet has to consume souls to maintain their yuan qi, a truly vile secret art. It hardly matters if they meet me, a demonic cultivator, but stumble upon a righteous cultivator, and those overzealous warriors of righteousness would chase them to the ends of the earth. It is part of their job description and also earns them merit. It does wonders for their mentality, tempering their hearts. The three blinked in understanding. Shui Qingjian then asked, Something is off here. Steward Joie, you just said that those filled with immense regret and hatred would turn into spirit puppets, but we just faced hundreds of them. There's no way for there to be so many warriors knowledgeable of this art and be so consumed with revenge. It's too much of a coincidence. Ha ha ha. Those mass-produced goods aren't included. Joie Fan cackled. The other side is amassing a secret army, forcing cultivators into becoming spirit puppets. To Tianyu, who has never seen a shadow of an ethereal stage expert, and with so few martial arts focused on the soul, spirit puppets would be a headache to face. It is a blessing in disguise that they are so hard to make. Not anyone can become one. The slightest slip-up, and it'd be the end. Elderly, you know how the kids old Pang is training in the wraith art, have a low success rate. Well, this one is even lower, ha ha ha. Li Jingtian was stunned ever since joining the Luo clan, Captain Pang, and he had received close training in the same art. Of course he knew about the young guard's Luo clan, was rearing as well. For one guy to come out of a batch of 100 was already promising, but with the spirit puppet's chance of being created even lower. Isn't it the same as Joie Fan wiping out 100,000-strong army of theirs by killing those hundreds? Li Jingtian had a sour taste in his mouth. Joie Fan laughed, seeing through him. You don't have to worry. They have plenty more where that came from. Ha! But Steward Joie, you have no trouble dealing with them while we are hopeless. Teach us how. Xue Qingjian noticed Zhuo Fan's casual attitude and cutely said the others looked on with hope. It was tough to say if it was from their incapability to deal with spirit puppets or from the need to learn more of Zhuo Fan's secret sticking. So close to Zhuo Fan for so long had taught them that his bag of tricks ran deep in both quality and number. Far better than the entire Tianyu could ever provide. Nabbing one or two of them was the greatest fortune the trio could ever hope for. This was one of the reasons these experts were so casual about staying with Luo clan, to say nothing of a martial fanatic like Li Jingtian, who practically lived for power. With how Zhuo Fan had had his head deep in official matters and being lazy on top, he felt disinclined to teach them. Today was the best chance to squeeze something out of him, and they weren't about to miss it. Glancing at them, Zhuo Fan smiled. No need. Spirit puppets are merely at the third level. Low-level spirit puppets are soul-based, no different from a wraith. With your strong, radiant stage strength, your intent is enough to destroy them. Mid-level spirit puppets can enter weapons or armor, making them their vessels and using them to somewhat resist soul attacks. Like those black men, you can't one-shot them, but giving them a deep wound is still easy. The crucial thing is the Black Captain, a peak-level spirit puppet. He can phase in and out with a soul so strong that only a specialized martial art can defeat him. The three bobbed their heads like eager children. I reckon strong guys like him are limited to just him. And since I've harmed him, he won't be showing his face anytime soon. You can rest easy. Zhuo Fan waved his hand. The three got his gist and sank into depression. The kid doesn't want to teach us. Xue Qingjian pouted, shaking Zhuo Fan's hand in a bratty voice. Steward Zhuo, we can forget about these crotchety geezers. But what about little old me and my precious body? Who am I to blame if that miscreant scars it? If you are that scared of having your secret leaked, sister will visit you in the dead of night. Will you teach me then? Smiley face. Secret here can also mean a cheat/hack. Zhuo Fan's face twitched at Xue Qingjian's rosy cheeks. Sister Xue, please have a modicum of dignity and act your age. Your man is right behind you. Hee, Steward Zhuo, why are you being so testy? We're all on the same side, I don't mind. If you still find it lacking, I can join you as well. So will I. Qiu Yanhai exposed a disgraceful grin, followed by Li Jingtian's shout. Ugh. Zhuo Fan almost had a case of the Technicolor yawn, waving all over the place. Fine, I'll take it as my loss. I'll teach you something, a profound ranked martial art focused on souls. Finger of Death. Chapter 384, Shadow King. Chapter 384, Shadow King. Who? Black smoke floated by a waterfall in the mountains. It reformed into the crooked shape of the Black Captain. As he gasped for life, he was still holding on to the kid who was now unconscious, ignoring the hostage. He took a gulp from the stream. With a crack like that of a gear turning, the waterfall slowly came to a stop. The pond had a vortex in the middle, draining the icy water to reveal the muddy ground and a stone gate 10 meters below. Black Captain jumped in with the kid and pushed on some ostensibly random stone for the gate to rumble. Open. The gate closed behind him as he entered, with the sky-high waterfall resuming its flow and the pond filling back up again. The captain hobbled through the pitch-black, twisting path. Even with all the jolting, the kid never woke up. A faint candlelight sprung in the distance, and the captain hesitated, but then walked on even faster in the glum room, around 60 square meters in size. Skipping a torturer's tools of the trade being laid around, a golden sheet ran through the center, dividing the room in two. Plop. The Black Captain threw the hostage down and knelt before the cloth. I have failed you and await my sentence. You failed. The aged voice from beyond carried shock. For even you to fail. Sigh. The sighing Black Captain was lost for words, as well his eyes dimmed and he collapsed. The voice came again, and you're also wounded. Whoosh! A black flash reached the Black Captain before the aged voice could, giving the captain a pill. When his breathing evened, the man with the bamboo hat eased a breath and said at the curtain, Please relax, sir. Senior has sustained heavy injuries and only needs time to heal. What heavy injuries? The old man was astounded. Just who is capable of harming you to such an extent? Not even Gu Santong could do this. The man behind the veil was quite aware of Black Captain's specialty of phase in and out. He couldn't deal with Gu Santong, but that little freak's ridiculous strong arm could do nothing just as well. There's actually another person in Tianyu that can rout him besides Gu Santong. The Black Captain sighed. It's Zhuo Fan. He has that kind of skill. Ha ha ha, and more to spare. Even I had to step in, but played right into his hand. The captain sounded morose. That brat is a deadly combination of an extended range of skills and ample experience. I used to think my secret art was lost 5 centuries ago, that no one in Tianyu knew of it, but he saw through me with a glance and then toyed with me. I only escaped with my life by taking one of the Yun clan's members hostage. The captain sighed, his eyes consumed by dread. He'd been running amok across Tianyu for centuries. Yet a pipsqueak like Zhuo Fan showed up, robbing him of all repute and turning him into a bottom feeder. Zhuo Fan is an even worse headache than Gu Santong. The captain sighed. Gu Santong is all brawn but does have weaknesses. While Zhuo Fan not only has Gu Santong's savage power, I couldn't find any weak spots either. It's the first time I've met with such an opponent. The man in the bamboo hat nodded. Senior is correct. Without having seen him for myself, I would have never taken Zhuo Fan to have such unbridled strength. All of the senior's attempts were foiled. He then used some unknown art to trap Senior and almost cost him his life. Knowing my limits, my only hope was to make a distraction. I am glad to know it helped free Senior. So it was you who helped me. I wondered why his focus slipped. This gratitude I will surely return. The Black Captain cupped his hands at the bamboo hat guy, who only shook his head. He had only added that little tidbit to get some credit. It's fine, now that you know I did my part. Just remember me next time you split fees. As for revenge and what not, it was the farthest thing from his mind. The veil fell quiet for a long time before the voice returned. The others? Black Captain sighed, dead. By your hand. By Zhuo Fan's. Black Captain squinted and spat. He is truly savage, killing them on the spot and saving me the trouble. Ha ha ha, he didn't do it for you. It is a warning. He doesn't want a falling out and went easy on us. The voice behind the veil came. The two were clueless, and the voice explained. With Zhuo Fan's guile, it would be easy for him to track you down. Since he wasted all of them, it proves that these men had no use to him, that he knows all too well who we are, but does not want to expose us. What? The two were dumbfounded. The veil flew aside, and the emperor in his golden dragon garment walked out. Not just him. After the high priest died, Zhuge Changfeng and Leng Wucheng soon casted their suspicions on us. Why else would they support each other in court today when I wanted to deal with the regent estate and Zhuo Fan in one move? They feared I would swallow them both. I underestimated you, Zhuo Fan. Your mind is sharp, your nature adaptable. Like water under the bridge, you set it all aside, uniting with your foes. You are a man with perspective. The emperor's cold laughter came. Hidden within was a thick trace of bloodthirst. The bamboo hat fell and revealed the monochrome chess age. Sima Hui looked hard at the emperor. Your Majesty, what do we do about Zhuo Fan taking Yun clan to Wingay City? The Shadow Guard's first detachment was wiped out and Senior is heavily damaged. How do we stop Zhuo Fan and the Luo clan's 3 elders? That is the source of my anger. The emperor flicked his sleeve. I just can't make anything of Yun Xuanji's decision of relinquishing 1,000-year-old neutrality by siding with the Luo clan who he has had no relation to speak of. And for what? For Zhuo Fan. I thought I showed my forbearance when I closed my eyes to him reading Huangpu Qingtian's fate, because I knew the throne is 3 parts fate, 7 parts hard work. I am a true celestial dragon, the son of heaven. I don't fear the likes of Huangpu Qingtian coming to take my rightful place. Yet He had sided with Zhuo Fan? And what did Zhuo Fan do? The man had just died, and his first order of business was to take the Yun clan away from my grasp. A selfish prick for whom the thought of giving a funeral never even crossed the mind. How can he trust cough? The emperor's raving stopped in a coughing fit. Sima Hui took a hanky and tended to the emperor. When he took it back, there was blood on it. Your Majesty, Sima Hui cried. The emperor waved. It's fine. I can reign in Tianyu long enough to leave a successor. The emperor took a deep breath to calm himself. Shadow King, you are one of the 4 pillars of my absolute trust and the most secretive being in this world. Everyone who has ever met you has long since died. With one exception, Zhuo Fan. Fate, it seems, isn't reliable, but can't be thrown aside either. The kid is your bane, so make sure to stay as far away as possible. But, Your Majesty, Shadow King, complained. The emperor waved. Zhuo Fan is a snake with outrageous power. The only way to get rid of him is by turning him into a beacon in all the chaos. Sigh, now all rests on my planning. I only wanted to raise a tiger to tear into those savage beasts and strengthen my position. Yet instead I've reared a dragon, and worst of all, a dragon I can't control. Zhuo Fan, ha ha ha, he is a true combination of Gu Santong and Zhuge Changfeng. He is the greatest plague on my mind. The emperor sighed, a glint flashing deep in his eyes. Shadow King, and Sima Hui nodded in the end. Zhuo Fan's power and threat left all of them coming empty-handed was one of the 3 minds of Tianyu. Devious in ploys and tricks that easy to topple? Was someone with hands as tough as Gu Santong's, equipped with crazy skills to make even Shadow King dumbstruck. Going to keel over just like that. Someone well-rounded like Zhuo Fan, versed in brawn and brain, left all his enemies feeling they were chewing a rock. Chapter 385 with me. Chapter 385 with me. The emperor showed worry and turned to the unconscious Yun clan member. Bring out the other eye and see if it holds. Understood. Shadow King lifted the kid up and his other hand flashed, revealing a bloody eye. It was now that the kid decided to join the party, looking at the 3 in panic. Who are you? What are you doing? Humph, we're just giving you the opportunity to become the new high priest. Shadow King snickered as his closing hand reflected in the eye of the distraught youth, before he gouged it out. The wailing and pain commenced, yet the kid was unable to move an inch. Shadow King then placed the other eye inside the kid's socket and forced the wound to heal. Blood stopped leaking, and the new eye fused with its new host. The trio nodded at the handiwork. Their joy was short-lived as the youth howled like a banshee under the trio's shuddering eyes. The kid thrashed all over. His new eye turned into a black sphere. It released a black energy that infected his body in a flash. The kid became black as night and crumbled to ashes along with the eye. Like I thought, eaten away by the mystical eye. The outcome came at no surprise for the emperor, but that didn't mean he accepted it. Frowning, he sighed. Yun Xuanji's mystical eyes can't be grafted into others, leading to the host being eaten from within. But to think that it won't work even on his people. The Yun clan will have to first awaken their blood to bear these mystical eyes. Nodding, Sima Hui sighed. Your Majesty, it makes sense. Yun clan wouldn't have survived for so long if anyone could use them. Everyone would have been scrambling for their eyes otherwise. The emperor nodded. Quite so. But that only leaves Holy Maiden Yun Shuang as a reader of fate, and she is now with the Luo clan. Your Majesty, you are the one and uncontested ruler on this earth, a true dragon descended on earth. As she belongs to the Yun clan, she will one day fall into your hand. Sima Hui bowed. The emperor paused in thought and said, if only. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan looked after the elders' wounds while also teaching them the finger of death. After 10 days under his careful guidance, the 3 recovered and were on the road again, while he backtracked to the regent of posterity's compound whoosh. Zhuo Fan flashed inside the manor, finding with his soul sense that all were accounted for and safe. No one used my absence to cause a scene at Luo clan while I was out helping the Yun clan. He knew all too well that a delicate balance was in play and that no player wanted to ask you. It was also the most peaceful period. Steward Joie. Joie Fan turned his head at the charming voice, finding Yun Shuang running to him frowning. Joie Fan saw her distraught and asked, Miss Shuang, what is it? Yun Shuang's bit her lip, stammering, Steward Joie, you already know who killed grandfather, don't you? Quivering on hearing this, Joie Fan held her gaze. Who told you that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do. Yun Shuang's gaze was set. Her tone firm. Joie Fan ignored her and pondered before bursting. Ha ha ha, I get it now. It must be that pair of old coots giving me a hard time. Humph, they don't want to stick their neck out, so you fake innocence here, is it? Your time will come, that I promise. Joie Fan knew on the spot that Zhuge Changfeng and Lang Wucheng had a hand in this. They both knew Joie Fan wanted the Yun clan and Yun Shuang. Yet they nudged her into demanding an answer from him. If he refused, Yun Shuang would be cross with him. It might even drive her to regent estate or prime minister if he told her the truth. Luo clan would become the first to clash with the imperial family, the pioneer to throw all this balance out of the window. He was at an impasse. Steward Joie. You actually do know, don't you? Yun Shuang guessed as much from his tone. Then tell me. Why should I? Joie Fan cut her off. Your clan is a target that I am willing to protect. In layman's terms, you owe me, not the other way around. What gives you the right to question me? To tell you everything? Humph, hysterical. Joie Fan snorted and left. Yun Shuang rushed to block his way, begging, Steward Joie, what will it take to tell me? Joie Fan stared down those hopeful big eyes of hers. He spoke after a pause. You really want to know? Yun Shuang nodded, her gaze steeled, grinning. Joie Fan leaned in her ear, his breath tickling and her face aflame. It will depend on your behavior. I have no reason to tell anything to someone who isn't with me. Yun Shuang shuddered, then watched him incredulously and flushed with red-hot cheeks from humiliation. So this is who you are, Steward Joie. Someone who preys on others' weaknesses. Biting her lip, Yun Shuang teared up. Joie Fan snickered. You got that right. I am no goody two-shoes. Besides preying on others, my style includes, but is not limited to, robbing someone blind, using their plight, and kicking them when they're down. So do you accept it? Joie Fan looked like the big bad wolf out on the prowl for harmless little lambs. Yun Shuang's biting of her lips drew blood, her hands tense from the inner conflict. She sighed. Steward Joie, give me time to think. Sure, take all the time in the world. I'm in no hurry. Joie Fan's lazy tone came. Cocksure everything was at his fingertips. Yun Shuang glared and stormed away. Joie Fan noticed her eyes, just before leaving, filled with rage, and scratched his head. Well, that's odd. Didn't I just tell her to watch the stars, to be my advisor? What's so hard about that? She must be dead set on ironing out all my crookedness. Then she'll help me. But have you ever heard of a kind, demonic emperor? Humph. Joie Fan grinned. On his way to Luo Yinhai. It's been too long since I gave the future clan head a lesson. How long will it take to shape him up? Well, it's not like I have anything better to do, so I might as well teach him some more. Not like I can leave the clan's fate in the hands of an ignorant kid. I'll never know rest. He got to the regent of Prosperity's room, only to find it stacked with gifts. Luo Yunchang and Princess Yongning were there too, chatting away. Brother Joie, you're back. Luo Yinhai beamed. Luo Yunchang giggled, while Yongning raised an eyebrow. Joie Fan, took you long enough. What could have kept the great steward away for so long anyway? Luo clan was swamped with work the past few days, and in your absence, I had to go out of my way to help you all. Don't just stand there. Hurry up and thank me. Joie Fan's face twitched. Setting my matters aside, Princess Yongning, what's a lass like you doing by still coming around here? Aren't you supposed to be grounded? He knew the emperor had grounded the princess to her room before the court debacle. So what was she doing back here after only a few days? Those palace guards are too lazy. Pah! Yongning slapped the table. Impertinent. How dare you address the princess in such an uncouth way, like lass? Do you find your head too heavy to bear? Zhuo Fan only gave her a roll of the eyes. Yongning was enraged, while also even more intrigued. Where does a mere steward get this kind of gall from? Luo Yunchang shook her head, trying to mediate. Sister Yongning, calm down. That's how Zhuo Fan is. No one can change him. If you don't like him, you can just avoid him. How can I? Why else do I hear? Yongning blurted. She blushed at her slip, making up an excuse on the spot. I mean, my patience knows no bounds. How can I stoop to his level? Luo Yunchang saw through her in an instant. Humph, you think I don't know your thoughts? You even have that look in your eyes. Why is it that the hate and anger in your gaze looks dangerously close to flirting? Not that Zhuo Fan cared, staring the princess down. Princess Yongning, am I to assume that you've sneaked out again? No way. I walked out the front gate. Sticking out her fairly downsized chest, Yongning said. Also, the imperial father is holding his centennial jubilee. I have earned my imperial father's accord to search for a proper gift. I fear that it is all too sudden for you, so I will help you prepare as well. See how much I care for you? Princess Yongning smiled at Zhuo Fan, fishing for compliments. Chapter 386, Valdragon's Omen. Chapter 386, Valdragon's Omen. Zhuo Fan couldn't care less, nodding by instinct alone as he made his way away from her. The blank look of indifference dimmed the princess's enthusiasm as well, her tone becoming sour and biting. Yunchang, is this how you teach your servant? He's like a popinjay. Ha ha ha, forgive me, sister. He doesn't know any better. You can just ignore him. Luo Yunchang consoled her, while dancing inside. This princess has set herself up for disappointment. Zhuo Fan has never bothered with her. She already had enough rivals and could surely do without any extras. Luo Yunhai glanced at the girls and said coolly, if Brother Zhuo was like you family stewards, would you be flirting with him and chasing him all day long? Hey, who's chasing whom here? Who's flirting? The two girls snapped at the same time. Luo Yunhai just shook his head. I am doing the chasing and flirting, all right? Brother Zhuo must have come for me, so I'll be going now. Luo Yunhai chuckled away, leaving two tomatoes behind, sunk in awkward silence. At one point they glanced at the door with admiration for Luo Yunhai. He could go to Zhuo Fan whenever, while they had to find an excuse to maintain their prim and proper reputation. In the gardens of the compound, Luo Yunhai briskly came to an already waiting Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan grinned at the kid. Good, your sight is improving. You knew I came for you. Of course. Besides, I've been around Brother Zhuo for so long that we are like brothers. Luo Yunhai scratched his nose. Zhuo Fan nodded, hooking his finger. Come then, let me see your progress. A fire was lit under Luo Yunhai's rear as he spurred on with purpose and threw a punch at Zhuo Fan Bang. Punches flew everywhere with power and speed. While Zhuo Fan returned some, he also preached a fight is not just about power, but brains as well. Look for an opening. If there's an opening, seize it. If not, make one. Avail yourself to their weaknesses. Avoid their strengths and lure them into a false sense of security before you spring your trap to crush them. Zhuo Fan had taught Luo Yunhai well into the night when the moon was up and the stars were shining for Zhuo Fan. It was all a light warm-up. While Luo Yunhai, a bone-tempering cultivator facing such a monster, was now sprawled on the ground, gasping for air. He was burnt out, like a toad croaking its last Brother Zhuo. You were quite free today to teach me for so long. Luo Yunhai shouted. Soaked in sweat, Zhuo Fan sighed at the starry sky. 3 years. Only one has passed, and the stalemate is already stirring. You'll be hard-pressed to find a quieter time like this afterwards, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan shook his head, patting Luo Yunhai's head before going to his room. The thought of leaving again soon left him bleak. Luo Yunhai gazed at the prideful back. He sensed something and picked himself up to go find Luo Yunchang. Creak. Zhuo Fan entered his room and sighed. He frowned. having smelled something off about his chambers. Scanning the room, he arrived at the bed, with something squirming beneath the covers. "Who's there?" "Joafan," said the squirming thing. Got squirmier. Joafan flicked the bedding off. But the squirmy thing left him speechless. The fair skin of a tight body, covered in thin red silk that could fly away at a simple breeze, was right there for the taking. The owner of such a work of art had her eyes closed shut and teeth clenched while she was shivering and in silent tears. "Miss Schwanger." Blinking, Joafan swallowed dryly. "What are you doing in my bed? Looking like this, no less." His voice trailed off, his shifty eyes gawking in all her splendor. Yun Shuang blushed harder and shouted, "Isn't this what a beast like you wanted? I only hope you'll keep your promise, once you have had your way with my body." Schwanger, I think you may have slightly taken this the wrong way. When have I asked this of you?" Joafan's brain turned to mush. Not that his sly eyes ever stopped soaking up the view. Yun Shuang was mortified. Is this how he acts? He got what he wanted, and now plays the gentleman? Like she was to blame for coming into his bed, and he was honest to God. Yun Shuang snapped. "Joafan, are you mocking me? You clearly said to be with you, and now you deny it? What am I to understand?" Joafan finally figured it out and waved his hands around. "A total misunderstanding. I never meant it in this way. I only wanted you to be on my side, to look into fate, to be my advisor, and not to preach me about growing a conscience or becoming goody-goody. That's all. But for you to jump to the conclusion that I wanted you to make such sacrifices, what was I saying again? Where was I?" Joafan scratched his head. Yun Shuang snapped her eyes open, buried her head deeper from shame, and cried. Her mind took a shortcut to the facts, leaving her to do such an embarrassing act. Joafan panicked. The cool him was now lost as to what to do with a crying lady. So he took his clothes and covered the lithe figure. A sudden bang on his door forced it open, and a crowd stormed in with Luo Yunhai in front, laughing. "Brother Ami and sister talked to Captain Pang and heard today is your birthday. Come, let's go to your party." Luo Yunhai's eyes landed on the bed. He gave an awkward chuckle and scratched his head. "Ah, I see you had your own bit of fun already. Then we won't bother you." He carry on. "What won't bother?" "Joafan, explain yourself." Luo Yunchang turned from happiness to anger at the drop of the hat after gazing on the bed, pointing at the squirmy thing under Joafan's clothes. "Who's she? Where did she come from?" Glimpsing at the fine white skin of the exposed legs, Luo Yunchang was incensed. This dense guy at least has good taste. The girl under there must be a doll. Joafan shrugged, having no explanation pop into his head. "And can you guys step outside for now?" Hi, how can we? This is a high-quality class act. Catching Steward joined the act. We just gotta make it memorable. Sly Demon always looked for trouble, then the violent demon cuffed him. A load of tripe. Steward Jua is the perfect stud muffin, single two. He is a perfect catch any woman would swoon over. The other pygmies bobbed their heads. Sagely Joafan's face sank, glaring at the four. The SH asterisks are only making it worse. The one who was the real troublemaker here was in fact the princess. Others, for better or worse, were aware of saving his skin, merely wagging their tongues while Her Highness took 2 steps forward and yanked the shirt off. "Let's see who you are and if you're worthy of our grand Steward Jua." Yun Shuang curled up with a cry, this act filling her with shame for being seen like this. Joafan's right eye flashed golden divine eye of the void's first stage shift. Yun Shuang and Joafan were gone the next second, leaving the audience puzzled, and sighing they ran away. We gotta admit, Joafan's trick sure is useful in cases like these. Luo Yunhai couldn't stop laughing inside. He had everyone gather around to ease Joafan's loneliness. Otherwise, this classic act would never have happened. One thing was certain, though. They never figured out who was beneath those clothes in a pitch-black forest. Joafan stood in a clearing watching the expansive night sky. A rustle came, and a clothed Yun Shuang came out of the tree line. Her face was still red. Red hot, in fact. Whenever she glanced at him, Joafan only looked at the night sky, giving her the cold shoulder, like I said. "I want your unconditional support." We are a team. You are one of my people. Your grandfather's business is my business. Or the Yun clan's retreat to Wingay City would have been harder. I admire your grandfather's virtue. Now forget about the matters in the capital. They no longer concern you. Zhuo Fan's cold tone came. Yun Shuang watched his lofty figure, stalwart and imposing, and calmed down. She looked at the sky and said, Vile Dragon is coming. Vile Dragon. Zhuo Fan pondered. I recall Yun Xuanji telling me about this. They're the Chuanrong. Are the Chuanrong invading? Zhuo Fan laughed inside and nodded. Great, you are now on my side. Yun Shuang smiled and nodded. Chapter 387, Chuanrong's Delegation. Chapter 387, Chuanrong's Delegation. At the crack of dawn in the imperial palace, the emperor sat dignified in his dragon throne. His servants at the side and the officials down below were split on two sides, giving a shallow bow. Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng was head of policies, while Marshal de Gajantin was in charge of the military. They all showed utmost respect. May your majesty lead a long and prosperous life. Present your petitions. A servant shouted. Glancing at the men below, de Gajantin flicked his sleeve and came forth with a bow. Your Majesty, I have worked hard in tracking down High Priest's murderer for 10 days, yet have found nothing. I ask that Your Majesty give me more men to conduct a more thorough search on the houses. Granted. The Emperor spoke. De Gajantin bowed and withdrew. Zhuge Changfeng snickered inside. The old marshal is quite serious in his search, dedicated to the monarch and nation. A shame he's too honest, unable to grasp the cloak and daggers in the court, and insists on carrying this matter on. Be as thorough as you like. Looking in the wrong direction will still give you nothing. Zhuge Changfeng stepped forward. Your Majesty, I have a request. The imperial capital has been sealed for 10 days, driving fear into the people and the clans. For the sake of peace, I ask that Your Majesty opens the gates. Humph! High Priest's case is yet to be solved, and you want to open the city? Is the Prime Minister so impatient because of his own matters, perhaps? De Gajantin snorted and glared. The Emperor flicked his cold eyes on the Prime Minister. Waiting for him to continue, Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. High Priest's case is crucial, but so is the reputation of the Empire. Your Majesty, you may disregard people's livelihood, but you should care about the rumors traveling outside the state. Zhuge Changfeng turned serious and bowed, presenting his petition. Your Majesty, the Chuanrong Kingdom knows of Your Majesty's centennial jubilee, and its emperor has dispatched a delegation with a gift. Please grant it entry, Your Majesty. What? The emperor and de Gajantin screamed at the same time. Chuanrong has sent a delegation. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. This is an external affair. Letting the delegation see the imperial capital under lockdown will earn their ridicule. The emperor's brow shook. He glared at the slightly mocking look of Zhuge Changfeng, and hatred festered in his heart. Zhuge Changfeng has a response for everything. I didn't respond when he asked that I release the seal on the capital in the name of the people. So he used Chuanrong's delegation as an excuse. Won't agreeing now look like trying to salvage my name instead of looking out for the people? His vaulting ambition is more than clear. Though the emperor was unable to grasp Zhuge Changfeng's planning from his vague replies, Zhuge Changfeng presented the petition. While the emperor paused in thought, de Gajantin intervened. Your Majesty, Chuanrong and Tianyu have only ever expressed hostility, with numerous clashes each year. The delegation is sure to be part of some elaborate scheme, and with the imperial capital in troubled waters, it is all the more reason we should block any outside interference. I beg Your Majesty to refuse them, lest we bring wolves in our midst. Old Marshal is mistaken. Because our two nations have been at odds in the past, we should use this chance to mend our relations and live in harmony. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head and reported with a sneer. In addition, they come bearing gifts. Slamming the door in their face will put Tianyu to shame. The Chuanrong will think of us as petty. It concerns His Majesty's prestige and Tianyu's name. How could you be so jumpy to lose all decorum when it counts? One official in red stepped forward with a bow. Prime Minister's words ring true. I second him. The Emperor's brow rose at the Grand Secretariat. Another official shot forward. Prime Minister speaks wisdom. Please allow it, Your Majesty. Minister of War. Dugujantian's beard shook. All officials soon stepped up, kneeling and shouting, "We all agree." Even the Emperor gasped with an ashen face. He knew Zhuge Chongfeng's power had a long reach, but not this long, to include both civil and military officials. The man left nothing to chance. Dugujantian was overwhelmed. Those loyal officials that followed the Emperor around, all but him, were in Zhuge Chongfeng's pocket. Be it civil or military, all the Emperor was left with were a scarce few. Zhuge Chongfeng held his head high. Your Majesty, this is a matter of great importance for the nation. We, loyal subjects to the flag, ask Your Majesty to make a swift decision that I may reply to the Chuanrong Emperor at once. Humph, Prime Minister, why the rush? You have so much care for the Chuanrong. The last time I checked, you are our nation's Prime Minister. The Emperor said, looking at Zhuge Chongfeng in mock and ridicule. All officials panicked. Sweating all over, the Emperor's accusation was heavy, treasonous even. He started off as a joke, but singled out Zhuge Chongfeng, the Prime Minister, as the nation's traitor. Not even the Emperor could accuse someone without evidence. Especially the Prime Minister. It only went to show how enraged the Emperor was. Getting ahead of himself, Zhuge Chongfeng took it in stride, even chuckled. Your Majesty, please don't joke. I am under Tianyu's payroll, working in its best interests. Try to understand, Your Majesty. Everything I do is for the Empire. Ha ha ha. Of course, I understand the Prime Minister's toil. The Emperor forced out through gritted teeth and slammed a servant with the petition, shouting, as per Prime Minister's petition, I shall allow the Chuanrong's delegation into Tianyu. The lockdown on the imperial capital is lifted, and the high priest's case will be postponed until after my celebration. Your Majesty is wise. The officials bowed, to which the Emperor snorted, watching with clenched fists. Dugujantian cursed them inside for being treasonous dogs. Meanwhile, in the high priest's observatory, a 10-meter large golden compass, placed at the top, released a deep blue glow. A strange energy lingered over it, forcing it to move. Zhuo Fan and Yun Shuang witnessed this phenomenon in shock. Is this the Yun clan's heirloom, the 8th grade spiritual weapon, heaven-linking apparatus? Zhuo Fan was amazed. Yun Shuang nodded. By having the heaven-linking apparatus commune with the world, one can see what happens in the world. As I watched the stars last night, I saw the vile dragon converge his attention here. But that is only a rough estimate. Only through the heaven-linking apparatus can I see its precise focus and how it tangles with the other faction's fates. So that's how it is. Zhuo Fan nodded and looked at her in earnest. You do what you do best, and I'll be the lookout. Yun Shuang giggled, rolling her eyes. This is the home of Yun clan. Having a lookout is like saying we came here to steal from ourselves. You do have a point. Nevertheless, with every house having eyes and ears everywhere, I'll block them. Zhuo Fan scratched his head awkwardly, guarding the door looking at him. Yun Shuang recalled last night and blushed. He isn't all that bad. At least not to his people, or they wouldn't hold a birthday party for him. This recall also brought her unmistakably to the moment when she threw himself in his bed like a birthday present. And there she went again, blushing harder, shaking her head to get rid of those thoughts. Yin Shuang focused. Her eyes turned black, and she stared at the heaven-linking apparatus. The stars above transformed into 4 dragons, roaming above Tianyu and tearing at each other. The clearer it became, the greater the alarm on Yun Shuang's face when she had last looked at the stars with her grandfather. The clash of the dragons resulted in Tianyu being left in a sorry state. As for the final winner, it was unclear. But the aftermath of this war would leave Tianyu filled with corpses and the people a wreck for decades to come. The greatest casualties Tianyu had ever seen in history. The heaven communing apparatus stopped, and the stars resumed their rightful place. Zhuo Fan ran over, interested. Ah, it's over! He was stunned to see Yin Shuang crying and mournful. Shuanger, what's wrong? Did the wind get in your eye? Zhuo Fan blinked. Yin Shuang grabbed his wrist and pleaded. Steward Zhuo, I beg of you. You can ignore what happened to grandfather, but please, you must stop the bloodshed from happening. Only you can alter Tianyu's fate and free the people from suffering. Yin Shuang tightened her grip. Zhuo Fan met her gaze and nodded. I will do my best, but what? Yun Shuang was overjoyed that he had agreed. Zhuo Fan was still very much serious. I keep my private matters separate from business. Personal matters always come first. You are with me now, and I will help you in your troubles. But everything else will be done in passing. Yun Shuang was clueless. Zhuo Fan grinned. That's just my style. You'll know soon enough. Now, what did you see? Yun Shuang snapped out of it and said, Valdragon's focus is on the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Luo clan had just received its newfound position and had not one darn relation with Chuanrong. Why is it after the Luo clan? Chapter 388, Ma Man. Chapter 388, Ma Man. Yun Shuang guessed what was going on in that head of his and sighed. That is what fate tells me. Vile Dragon will come down hard, but it also has an augmenting effect. The other 3 factions' fortune will be augmented, while only the Luo clan weakens. Chuanrong's coming to Tianyu bodes ill for the Luo clan. How can only the other 3 get enhanced? Zhuo Fan paced around with a frown, but came out empty. This shouldn't be the case. I can understand if the 2 of them grow, but Crouching Dragon, the Vile Dragon, comes with the Crouching Dragon in mind. So why would it result in the Luo clan suffering? Don't you find it odd? Yun Shuang nodded. An educated guess tells us that Chuanrong's first target is Tianyu's imperial family, the Crouching Dragon. But the heavens have shown the contrary. I can't make sense of it either. Yun Shuang sighed, her sight dazed while Zhuo Fan started shining. Yun Xuanji said that fate is fraught with death and life's paths, while different men make different choices, treading different walks. The 3 houses must have done something to make the Vile Dragon target Luo clan. What else could make the mighty Chuanrong Empire focus on the little old us? Zhuo Fan mulled it over before asking, what about the Luo clan's fortune? I don't know. Yun Shuang shrugged. Luo clan has you at the helm. With you being out of heaven's control, I can only see the present and immediate situation, while the future is blocked. Zhuo Fan sighed, like the old saying goes, know yourself and the enemy and you'd ever be victorious. Zhuo Fan knew of his enemies getting tougher, while being in the dark about his own clan, making his own future actions uncertain. Being outside fate is not all it's cracked up to be. A deep breath and a permanent frown, that was Zhuo Fan. What took priority was finding out the 3 houses' activities. With such a particularly large event in play, a master plan had to be brewing in a deep, dark corner. Not cracking it yesterday would get him shafted. Zhuo Fan's mood sank with every thought. Yet he spared Yun Shuang a smile. Let's go back. Such a fortune to have you around at this time, and to find out about all this before it had been too late. It's fine. I'm doing it for my grandfather and the people. Yun Shuang smiled back, and the 2 left for the Luo clan, but 1,000 meters out on a pavilion. 2 shadows kept their sights on them until they were gone. Our shadow recon team has never been so useless before. One snorted. We're so far away that we can't see nor hear **T. What's the point? It's not like we explicitly asked to tail Zhuo Fan, now is it? That freak has a freaky eye that has put even the captain on a sickbed. Any closer and he'd see us. Not even a miracle would save us then. The other side, come on, let's check what they were after in Parish. Maybe we'll find something. Humph! Now the great shadow guards have turned into garbage men. The shadow grumbled, but still followed the other, drifting over to Parish as black smoke. While Zhuo Fan's mind was on the shifting situation, he was out bumping into his allies, asking around for the house's movements. He had Yin Shuang peek the sky over at the parish for any other changes now and then as well. The shadows tailing them, though, never once got anything useful. Zhuo Fan was finding it more and more odd that every time he went to Drifting Flowers edifices, the people stammered each time he mentioned Chu Qingqing, thinking they may not necessarily be so forthcoming with the complete and whole truth as for the Yun clan's migration. The emperor posed a question as a mere courtesy, getting the response from Zhuo Fan that they were in a safe place and out of the water well. Zhuo Fan had all the reasons. He and Yun Xuanji became fast friends, so he wasn't pushing it to help the guy's family after his death, no? And he was still emperor-certified best steward beneath heavens. His every action was in accordance with the emperor's. It wouldn't have gone so smoothly with the Yun clan, otherwise the emperor had to swallow hard to accept the damage he had done to himself. I just had to hail Zhuo Fan so high and leave a weakness exposed. And now he had Chuanrong's delegation coming over with a present. Truly, when it rained, it poured. This was exactly the forecast that had Zhuo Fan's heart tense up. Are Chuanrong going to play out like the forecast? Are they the fourth power to push down on the Luo clan? Zhuo Fan took out Ascending Jade, giving instructions to the elders. They needed overwhelming power and fast. 3 months came and went. The imperial capital was abuzz from the 1,000 detachments of soldiers at its gates in shining armor and impeccable discipline. Not to mention their mounts were not as insipid as war horses, but were spiritual beasts. The Grand Cavalry was riding on 3rd-level spiritual beasts. Led by a few 5th-level spiritual beasts, the Chuanrong's delegation had arrived. Zhuo Fan, come take a look at all the commotion. At the crack of dawn, a young scholar was very excitedly running towards the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan and Luo Yunchang came out silently. He was no other than the cross-dressing Yongning, snooping out of the palace as usual. With how the princess had gotten so close to the Luo clan, she dropped by every other day. First, it was seeing her dear foster sister as the official excuse, and then she shrugged all pretenses, brazenly going after Zhuo Fan. Even Zhuo Fan had to be tolerant to the princess and suffer her antics. Princess, what are you up to this time? I don't have the time, so go ahead with Yun Hai and young miss. Zhuo Fan shrugged, scratching her cute button nose. Yongning snorted and stuck her head out. This is a once-in-100 years occasion. It's so kind of me to invite you to see the bustle, so the least you could do is thank me. See the bustle? More like you wanting to jump right in. Zhuo Fan mocked, spinning on his heel back inside. Yongning flustered. Chuanrong's delegation has come. They're about to enter the city. It's a chance to see exotic cultures that you should never miss. What, Chuanrong? Zhuo Fan stopped in his tracks and turned right back out and kept on going. He wanted to check them out. How strong they were, how many had come. To assess the threat to his house, Princess cried, "Wait for me." Luo Yunchang was stunned, sensing the seriousness of the matter. She called Yun Hai, and they went together as well, and so the whole gang stepped out of the compound's gate. They had just taken a turn on Main Street when they bumped into a literal mob. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting something. They tried to find something besides heads, but nope, there were heads everywhere. The exotic foreigners were so in vogue right now. The whole capital was out to see them. Brother Zhuo here! A shout turned Zhuo Fan's head, coming from a building's 2nd floor. Long Xingyun waved for him to come sit with his allies. Zhuo Fan nodded and took everyone over. Every one of his peers was there, not just his allies, even the likes of Hell Valley and Pilkinghall. But on account of all the bustle, they decided to keep the friction to a minimum, so much so that the arrival of Zhuo Fan made them look anywhere but at him, with Zhuo Fan being a moody beast. Who knew what excuse he'd come up with to trash them? If the elders chose to stand clear, it went double for these disciples. Long Xingyun's group chuckled. This brother sure is feisty. A pain for the enemy and a shoulder to rely on for the allies. Brother Zhuo, the entire 2nd floor is reserved for the house's disciples to get a clearer view of the Chuanrong's delegation. Long Xingyun invited them to sit. Xie Tianshang was stern. his hand never leaving the hilt of his sword. I wonder how many experts they have. Like you can expect anything else from a martial fanatic. Zhuo Fan and Long Xingyun's eyes met and they chuckled. After the esoteric debate, Xia Tianshang's mood had never changed. Chuanrong's delegation had yet to parade into town, so Zhuo Fan looked around. He picked up on a sneaky figure and shouted, "Yan Fu, you've come to see the excitement and won't even greet me." Yan Fu ducked out of sight on the first floor when he froze, with a forced smile and a scratch on his head. "Steward Zhuo, what a coincidence." His words got cut off by a prideful voice. "Yan Fu, my master and martial aunt, are almost here, and you didn't get us seats. Xiao Dandan came with Peony and Iris overseers when she noticed Zhuo Fan's unnatural gaze and blushed, ducking her head. "Brother Zhuo." They had long since been an item. "But you were so cooped up that you never noticed." Long Xingyun gossiped with a snicker. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. "You guys." Yan Fu was scared out of his mind, even losing his voice. Everyone knew Xiao Dandan was more than a little crazy for Zhuo Fan. He ignored her every step. True, but that didn't mean anyone could just show up and take what is Steward Zhuo's. It was a no-brainer what would happen now Peony Overseer saw the two shaking in their boots and snapped. "What, Zhuo Fan, you didn't want Dandan, and now you're going to ruin her life. That's just evil of you." Zhuo Fan flicked his hand, his eyes roaming over the happy and shivering couple. Then he cracked up, slapping Yan Fu's back. "Ha ha ha, my man." He was simply overjoyed at having thrown away one pesky baggage. Everyone's faces twitched and turned dark. Chapter 389 Rampant. Chapter 389 Rampant. Ugh. Yan Fu was having mixed feelings about this. He should be happy as a clam that Zhuo Fan wasn't here to deck him. But the more he thought about it, the less Zhuo Fan's word fit. As if I'm picking his trash, his damaged goods. Xiao Dandan had a sour taste in her mouth as well, her burning heart crumbling from disappointment. What did Zhuo Fan mean by this? Did Xiao Dandan mean absolutely nothing to him given any time of the day? He didn't take her seriously, labeling her as an extra baggage from the get-go. Her disciple standing there all lonely had Peony Overseer's temper explode to protect her, cursing. "Zhuo Fan, what's that supposed to mean? You felt nothing for Dandan all this time? Are you dead inside?" The outburst earned silent looks from everyone, then sighs. It's truly a mystery how a woman's mind operates. Iris Overseer pulled on Peony Overseer's clothes awkwardly while scolding her through transmission. When one man has eyes for Dandan, you curse. When another man ignores Dandan, you curse again. Just what do you want exactly? To have a death match for the lady's hand? That's words left Peony Overseer. Could Yan Fu versus Zhuo Fan even be called a death match? Who in this world can even beat that brat? She only found that Zhuo Fan's cold reply had cut her disciple too quickly. Her disciple had always carried a blazing torch for him for 7 years and counting. If not for the matter with Qingcheng, maybe. This is fine as well. Sighing, Peony Overseer consoled Xiao Dandan, then signaled for Yan Fu to come with her to teach him proper manners. Yan Fu waited for Steward Zhuo's instructions, but the guy only flicked him away. "Go, your future mother-in-law is calling you. Better listen to her." "You zip it." Peony Overseer snapped with a glare on him. Zhuo Fan struck, the perfect bystander figure, looking at the street. His heart, however, was doing somersaults. Xiao Dandan was a love-struck fool, always behind him like a lost puppy. Now that someone had taken that puppy in, he was over the moon. Yongning asked Luo Yunchang about the ins and outs of this drama and sighed. But her gaze for Zhuo Fan was now a heavier one. Getting this sugar husband won't be easy. Roar! The rumbling sound announced the opening of the city gates to reveal fanged savage beasts strutting onward. In orderly fashion the people cheered. Most of them had never even seen spiritual beasts. Least of all these fifth-level ones, the noisy second floor fell silent, with everyone focusing on the procession. 5 men and 1 woman were leading. On those fifth-level spiritual beasts the crowd fell back at the imposing aura, avoiding their eyes. The ones behind had no problem seeing those foreigners, perfectly, especially the girl of stunning beauty. She had a certain wild vibe the Tanyu women lacked, leaving the men enraptured and drooling gulping. Long Xingyan squinted. A fair and virtuous lady, a great catch! Perv! The women around rolled their eyes at him. Chu and Rong are famous for their beast-rearing skills. But it's my first time seeing the combined power of a man and beast. Xia Tianshang's sword was out of its sheath, flashing dangerously. His 2 eyes filled with thirst for battle, wishing nothing more than to jump down there and take the foreigners for a spin. Everyone shook their heads. Martial fanatic! Long Xingyan advised, this is a chance for our nations to shake hands. You can't go start a war, especially with that woman, Their talk went in one ear and out the other in Zhuo Fan's case. All his attention was focused on the riders. They had 3 profound heaven cultivators, 3 radiant stage cultivators, and 1,000 veteran cavalry in the bone-tempering stage. They rode on 1,000 third-level spiritual beasts and 6/5 level spiritual beasts. Can this army threaten the Luo clan? Zhuo Fan sighed. Zhuo Fan, what are you looking at? The princess was piqued by his heavy gaze. At oddities. Zhuo Fan's eyes twitched. The princess was puzzled. What oddities? If I am looking, that means I clearly can't find them now, can I? I wouldn't be looking otherwise, you daft girl. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. The princess flushed red and glared in a pout roar. The sky shook under the noise, and the Chuanrong delegation stopped. Zhuo Fan's side watched one leader's mount roaring, and getting ready for attack. In front of it was a 5-year-old child. Crying on the ground, a grizzled and thin old man charged out of the crowd and hugged the child. Forgive me, the child is too young to understand running in front of you. I'll take him away. It's fine, uncle. The woman smiled, but the jacked-up leader snickered over her. Are all Tianyu's people without decorum? I am Chuanrong Empire's general, and for you, an ant, to bump into me is a gross act of disrespect. Can you bear the responsibility of a war between us? Cut the act. How could we start a war over this? We'd have been at war for ages by now otherwise. Zhuo Fan mocked. The princess bobbed her head, so did the other young masters, looking at the buffed, tough guy with contempt. Those words of his only worked on the common people. While the houses were too wise to fall for some cheap provocation, the old man was but a common man, however, paralyzed on the ground in fear of what he'd done. He had just condemned his fellow countrymen to a life of pain and suffering. He dropped to his knees and begged, "Spare us, Lord. I am at fault. Please don't aggravate the matter." The tough guy snickered, filled with contempt. But the woman frowned and glared. "Zha Lahan, stop making a scene." Young miss. I was only messing with Tianyu's pests. It won't change anything." The tough guy waved his hand, turning to the old man. "I can overlook this for Tianyu, out of the kindness of my heart. But my mount here has special tastes, you see. Every time it bumps into someone, it feels the urge to swallow something. Or his bad mood might affect my own. So tell me, how will you settle this?" The old man paled, figuring the general wanted to feed his spiritual beast with the child, and he wanted the old man to do it too. But how could he? The woman snapped. "Zha Lahan, having fun is one thing, but don't cross the line." Young miss, it's just a game. No harm, no foul." The tough guy chuckled, yet his vicious eyes never left the old man, waiting to see him give the child to the spiritual beast. The spiritual beast bared its fangs and licked its maw with bloodshot eyes. Humph. Absurd. They've come to our land and yet act all high and mighty. Xia Tianshang slapped the table, his sword half drawn. Long Xingyan advised, "Brother Xia, they were invited. We can't interfere, not with the officials having yet to appear. It will only invite trouble." The great noble houses, afraid of stirring trouble? The princess snapped. "I never saw you stop once from looking for trouble, yet now you've decided to sit back? Chickens. Zhuo Fan, follow me as we teach them a lesson. Knock yourself out. I don't feel like it." Zhuo Fan flicked his hand, like you said. The 7 houses have made looking for trouble practically a tradition, so you can handle it. Oh, Xiao Dandan, weren't you once high-strung as well? Xiao Dandan blushed with a lowered head. I was more confused than angry then. Why bring it up? Yen Fu, you're no better either. Zhuo Fan glanced at him. Yen Fu nodded with calm. True, every time I went out with my master, I'd be throwing my weight around. But since I've joined the Luo clan, with its tight rules, I never get the chance. Well said. You'll show off again one day, not to worry. Zhuo Fan snapped his fingers and snickered. See that, princess? We may look calm and kind on the surface, but there's a festering evil in our bones, like those guys below. Aren't you expecting too much? Sending us mean guys into another mean guy's business? The princess blushed in anger. Then I'll go. Meanwhile, the old man was hugging the sobbing child tighter, under cold, hard pressure and indecision. It was then that a scoff came. Chuanrong are guests and nothing more. Since when have they started acting as hosts? Whoosh! Yun Shuang stood before the elder, and the child Zhuofan sighed. He didn't give a hoot about others. While being unable to ignore his own people, his eyes glinting. Zhuofan's mouth curled up in his trademark evil smile. Time to probe the Chuanrong for a bit. Chapter 390. A Dragon Can't Repress a Snake. Chapter 390. A Dragon Can't Repress a Snake. Schwanger. Yongning, cried. The others looked on as well. Stunned to see the Empire's holy maiden coming out in the people's defense, then they turned eager after the high priest's death. The holy maiden had become the apple of the Empire's eye. They'd go as far as charging into the Chuanrong delegation if it meant defending her, something the Chuanrong were not privy to. Evident by Zhao Lahan's mockery. Missy, are you out for a quick death? Hasn't your emperor taught you how to receive guests? You'll now butt into another's problems. Even Chuanrong's delegation? If you call yourselves guests, just act like one. I've never seen a guest as outrageous as you. Yun Shuang stood tall, and bold Zhao Lahan glared, then cackled. What a charmer you are! As for falling in with the customs here, it will depend on the host. I'm going to take those 2 for my mount as a snack. What's the host going to do about it? Zhao Lahan shouted, and the beast roared in its pounce on the old man and child. No! Yun Shuang shot a palm at the beast's skull. Zhao Lahan merely snickered and released his aura bang. Yun Shuang rebounded as if hitting a wall. Ha ha ha. A profound heaven girl dares to interfere? I wonder what gave you the gall. Zhao Lahan cackled. Yun Shuang's heart was beating frantically, watching the old man and child becoming the spiritual beast's dinner about to be engulfed by those fangs. She teared up. Have mercy on my people, for they are suffering so. The old man and child closed their eyes, knowing their end was inescapable, waiting for the jaws of death to close on them. The Chuanrong woman shouted, Zhao Lahan, stop this instant! Too little, too late. Zhao Lahan turned a deaf ear to her orders. Having gone drunk on power, the people sighed with a shake of their heads. This was the fate that awaited any common man stumble upon the Chuanrong delegation. With it being a matter concerning the future relations between the 2 nations, how many people would dare to step in to solve this mess? Holy Maiden was one, albeit weak. Under everyone's gazes, the fangs inched closer and closer on their meal. The aura had the old man and child unable to even breathe. With a groan, the savage aura withdrew, and the spiritual beast halted mid-charge with its maw open. Only the stench kept coming. Zhao Lahan was shocked, and the audience was shocked. Regaining their hope? Who is it? The old man and child were still waiting for death, but the beast was running late, making them crack open their eyes to watch the stunning spectacle. The savage beast's huge body was stopped by a red hand. What stood before them was a youth with white hair. They knew who he was. Everyone did after the fiasco outside the imperial palace. The savage no one in Tianyu messed with, Zhuofan, had arrived. How is that possible? The calm Chuanrong now cried out. Zhao Lahan's eyes flashed with a thirst for battle. Tianyu has someone capable of holding back a 5th-level spiritual beast with one hand. The agitated lads on the second floor rested easy now, sitting back to enjoy the show with one leg over the other once Zhuo Fan stepped up. Everything became a foregone conclusion, and all thanks to Zhuo Fan's harsh, cruel, and heavy-handed lessons. Xie Tianshang was grumbling. What a hypocrite! He says he washes his hands of this matter, yet here he is jumping right in. Ha ha ha, isn't it great though? He's the only one who dares to butt in such an affair. Brother Xie, don't mind it. Long Xingyun laughed, the others bobbed their heads in total agreement. It begged the question, though, would the dragon come out on top or the snake? Zhuo Fan paid no attention to the savage glints. He merely glanced at the old man and child. What are you looking at? Do you still want to get eaten? The old man darted away with the kid in his arms, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, Steward Zhuo. I will never forget this. What arrogance! Jia Lahan barked, holding the beast by the mane, causing it to roar as well. It thrashed around trying to escape from Zhuo Fan's grip. Zhuo Fan was using the Qilin arm. Proving its efforts were in vain, Zhuo Fan snorted and flicked. To the audience's shock, the fifth-level spiritual beast slammed into the ground like a ton of bricks. Knocked out cold Jia Lahan took to the air, outraged. A mere flick knocked a fifth-level spiritual beast unconscious? Who is this guy? I've never heard of anyone like that in Tianyu. The Chuanrong delegation was just as stunned. Steward Zhuo's might is boundless. It started with a shout, and then it turned into a roar as more voices joined in, throwing their fists in the air. Steward Zhuo, Steward Zhuo. The shouts came in waves, rumbling across the sky. The Chuanrong delegation looked around in shock and then focused at Zhuo Fan. A steward has such power? How come we've never heard of such an outrageous being in Tianyu? His fame is great as well. The people practically love him. Blast it! What is the intelligence department even doing? An expert like this that every common man knows about, yet we've gotten no wind of? They're all nothing but two-bit rejects. Ignoring it all, Zhuo Fan strode over to Yun Shuang. She had put on a wide smile, being relieved for the people's safety. At some point, her heart knew that as long as Zhuo Fan was around, everything will be a-okay. Zhuo Fan was the one who gave her such a sense of security. Steward Zhuo. Yongning squeezed in with Yan Fu through the crowd, running at them. She bowed. Forgive me, Steward Zhuo, for our tardiness in buying the goods you asked for. Please don't blame us. We are mere servants, nothing in your eyes, but we are hardworking. Someone blocked our path. Zhuo Fan noticed her wink and laughed. This girl hasn't been around me for long, yet she has developed quite the flair for the dramatic. The Chuanrong delegation was overwhelmed. Say what? That lady just now and the new kid are only errand boys? Everyone from Chuanrong felt a chill. Mommy, which house is bursting at the seams to have a profound heaven expert doing errands? Weren't profound heaven experts supposed to be clan elders in Tianyu? Gulping, the Chuanrong looked at them in fear. If a servant's requirements are at least the profound heaven stage, then what about their elders, clan head, and even venerables? More importantly, how many clans like these are there in Tianyu? They all knew Tianyu was a hidden den of monsters, but this was ridiculous. No, how is that hidden? Even the common man knows their outstanding blue blood. God damn you, Hu Lianchai! How the hell did you perform your investigation? The Chuanrong glared at the last rider on the fifth-level spiritual beasts. A thin, middle-aged man, the guy, was bewildered as well, lowering his head in shame. When did Tianyu whip out a fresh batch of clan members? Or are they bluffing? But a glance at Zhuo Fan had him sighing instead. Losing all nerve, Zhuo Fan was a third layer of profound heaven expert, but a hand of his trashed a fifth-level spiritual beast. Not even Jia Lahan could do that. For a freak like that, to be a steward in the clan to have profound heaven experts as servants may not be such an oddity. The Chuanrong looked at Zhuo Fan's group with solemn gazes. With all their arrogance, washed away the younger generation on the second floor, felt their cheeks twitching in tandem. Zhuo Fan is the worst influence. He is pushing them deeper on the path of violence. Chapter 391 To Obalufong. Chapter 391 To Obalufong. You know you're wasting time, so why are you still here? If you run late and the young master isn't satisfied, I for one can't suffer the consequences, and you sure as hell can't either. Flicking his sleeve, Zhuo Fan strutted forth. He might as well go with the flow and take the play as far as it took him. The Chuanrong grew tense. This outrageous thing is afraid of his young master? This clan must have harsh rules, with experts in droves. So much so that the steward who has such godlike power isn't of high status in the clan and has to cater to the young lord's whims. Everyone knew the strong ones in the clan were revered, and even the clan head watched his tone around them, let alone the young master. From the sound of it, he isn't much in the clan. But what does that make his clan an abomination? Yongning and Yun Shuang shared a sneaky smile, and the people hid their joy. All of Tianyu knew of Zhuo Fan by now. A steward in name, yet the de facto leader of the Luo clan in the clan head's absence. Only Gooks would actually fall for his antics, and the Chuanrong were shaking in their boots with the intel and their numbers. They figured they'd boss Tianyu around. With no house or clan messing with them, reality proved otherwise, however. They'd just met a servant who was a profound heaven expert, while their steward was a godlike freak capable of doing anything case in point. Didn't the steward wipe the floor with their general's mount? It was by this clan's grace that they weren't dead already. The Chuanrong slumped, losing their haughty air. A handsome youth even cupped his hands. My subordinate was too impulsive, and I apologize for the trauma he caused. Thugs on the outside, yet pushovers at heart. His attitude earned the contempt of everyone. Be that as it may, having the delegation apologize for its transgressions was enough. No. Tell that to Zhuo Fan. He never once looked at them, treating them like air as he turned to Yun Shuang. What are you standing around for? Back to shopping. Ridiculous. Zhao Lahan's eyes spat fire. His fists tight. The princess snickered inside, yet not quite content with how subdued the drama was. She wanted it blown sky high and pointed at the Chuanrong. Steward Zhuo, how are we to do that when they're blocking the road? Zhuo Fan eyed her for a second, picking up on the glint in her look. Perfect timing. Let's get those guys to act and get a feel of the situation, shall we? Hold on while I deal with this. Turning a cold look to the Chuanrong, he walked over. The imperial capital's main street is for walking, not parading your pets. Anything on all four out. What did you say? Zhao Lahan snapped, his muscles tightening like steel, his body primed to explode any minute. The youth next to him turned glum. Zhuo Fan was treading on thin ice. The Chuanrong were beast-rearing people. They'd lived all their lives among them. Asking them to throw their beasts out was like demanding them to give up their advantage and pride. The answer was an obvious no. The 8 houses people on the second floor snorted. Most of them had first-hand knowledge of Zhuo Fan's style. He'd even steal candy from a baby. No low was beneath him. He'd wrung them off of all dignity and still act like the sore loser per Zhuo Fan's. Oh, he'd first taunt his victim, so he'd act in self-defense, leading them to strike first. The result? Of course, beating the crap out of you, all while standing on the moral high ground. Let's see if anyone can top that. How many innocent victims had fallen under Zhuo Fan's malignant thumb, with nowhere to vent their loss, and were forced to suffer in silence. Everyone knew that. Zhuo Fan's infamy was practically built on it. Exceptions being the Chuanrong, the new guys, the fresh meat, falling for it hook, line, and sinker. There wasn't a soul out here who wasn't snickering inside, waiting for the show to start. That's what you get for being obnoxious. Clueless as you are, you should keep your head down anywhere near Zhuo Fan. The Chuanrong youth walked up to Zhuo Fan, his heart unsettled. A deep breath helped a bit before he began. We are Chuanrong warriors. Our beasts never leave our side. We only know how to advance and never retreat. If you are capable, then you can make the spiritual beasts fall back. The people cried, "Holy moly!" Inside, Zhuo Fan blinked once, then stared back, an evil grin playing at the corner of his mouth. That kid sure is something. Long Xingyin sighed. The rest agreed his words were impeccable, neither an outright refusal nor taking it lying down. But he had shifted the issue onto Zhuo Fan. To have him deal with it, everyone knew the youth probably had no clue what Zhuo Fan was made of. Thus he chose the middle ground to neither sound threatening nor coward, thinking that Zhuo Fan was a man of importance. It was a perfect blend of tone and words to defend his self-respect, and thus he had dumped the issue on Zhuo Fan's head. Failing to scare the beast back would put Zhuo Fan on the spot. Two birds with one stone. He had avoided the taunt and forced the other person to take action. Now it begged the question, who on earth could push back 1,000 spiritual beasts? Not even Chuanrong's best beastmaster could do it. The Chuanrong watched the youth with gratitude and gave Zhuo Fan a wide grin. Long Xingyin gasped, inspecting the youth. Who is he? So young, yet versed in politics and strength. Luo Yunhai nodded. He is leader material, with an air about him that could have only been gained in battle. Ha ha ha, brother, your eyes are getting sharper. For people stepped on the second floor, the 4 tigers of Tianyu. Looking at the standoff outside, De Gufeng laughed. We've been waiting for the delegation to reach the imperial palace's gates, yet they just wouldn't show. Turns out the scamp cut them off. I just can't make sense of him. He's picking a fight with anyone. He isn't called Tianyu's #1 thorn for nothing. Ha ha ha. Big brother, could you please not talk like that? It wasn't Zhuo Fan who started it this time. Luo Yunchang tried to salvage the situation. De Gufeng smiled. Brother is so jumpy. But I didn't mean it as steward Zhuo's responsibility. We had figured there'll be some hostilities with the Chuanrong. That's what happens when we battle each other for years and years. Their delegation is only here to showcase their superiority, something we planned for. Yet here they are, dead in their tracks, and saving us plenty of trouble too. The others understood. Their march to the imperial palace was to set up their powerful position, cut short by Zhuo Fan's interference. Sai, it's a darn shame too. It was one thing to raise your tone against the 4 tigers of Tianyu, and a whole nother against Zhuo Fan. By the way, brother, do you know that youth? Luo Yunhai asked. De Gufeng sighed. Not just know him, but he is an old rival. He is the Chuanrong Empire's commander, Tuoba Tieshan's only son, Tuoba Lufeng. He's a young commander. Luo Yunhai exclaimed. I was wondering why I got a general's vibe from him. De Gufeng nodded, his eyes fixed on the youth. Tuoba Lufeng is shrewd, brave, and adept in leading his men. A bit on the young side, but he has earned his place in the army. We have tangled with him more times than I can count, and always came at a disadvantage. They say he will take his father's place, a prime candidate to be the next commander. Luo Yunhai's eyes trembled, and he ingrained the youth's image in his mind. The next Chuanrong Empire's commander meant their future enemy. Elder brother, what about the others? Luo Yunhai asked. De Gufeng said, there are 8 wolf wardens under Chuanrong Empire's commander, of great mettle and are unstoppable. 3 of them are currently present. De Gufeng pointed at the tough guy stirring trouble. He is second among the 8 wolf wardens, savage wolf Zhalahan. His innate power and unmatched bravery paint him as someone able to tear apart a 5th-level spiritual beast. A fierce opponent. That one, there is obscure wolf Hu Lianchai, in charge of intelligence and scouting, a hidden danger. De Gufeng pointed at the thin figure. He isn't much to look at, but he is sure to be watching you. His operatives are sharp and capable. Luo Yunhai nodded. De Gufeng turned to a masked man with only half his face visible. That is Chuanrong Empire's most famous archer, ranked 3rd in the 8 wolf wardens, the sky-piercing wolf Shabi. His heaven-shaking bow and cloud-nailing arrow are 6th-grade spiritual weapons. His shots are deadly, taking out the enemy generals. Even the marshals suffered at his hands. He is one opponent you can hardly guard against. Chapter 392. Thirst for Blood. Chapter 392. Thirst for Blood. You're telling me that Godfather, a 6th layer of Radiant Stage expert, actually Luo Yunhai widened his eyes. De Gufeng nodded gravely. Yes, 8 wolf wardens are all tough, all radiant stage experts, all veterans. Never underestimate them on the field of battle. Everyone nodded, if not for the 4 tigers of Tianyu saying it, who were engaged in wars all year round. The 8 houses youths would have never known that the Chuanrong had sent a mean bunch. This time, Luo Yunhai turned to the last 2, his eyes never leaving the oldest person from his sight. Hair white, small yet sharp eyes, casting a veil of mystery over him. Elder brother, who is that? Dugu Feng mumbled. Chuanrong Empire's imperial tutor, Han Tiema. He is our prime minister, Zhuge Changfeng's equivalent. Does that mean the enemy has sent his best over? Everyone was startled. How could they send someone of such importance to Tianyu? Don't they fear an assassination? Dugu Feng shook his head morose. Chuanrong Empire is unlike ours, who have the 4 pillars to hold up the nation, yet each of them is filled with their own designs. Take Godfather and Zhuge Changfeng, for example. Neither will accept the other. With years and years of constant fights at the border, they say Zhuge Changfeng had planned to go to the Chuanrong Empire once, for peace talks, but never carried it out. Do you know why? He feared the old marshal's betrayal. The chorus sounded. Dugu Feng nodded. Godfather isn't the type to do this, but it'll be impossible for the Prime Minister to believe Godfather completely. While Chuanrong Empire's commander Tuoba Taishan allowed his son to come on this delegation because the imperial tutor is here to look after him. Why Han Tiema has come in the first place is because Tuoba Taishan has 5 million troops stationed at the border, sending the delegation off. If any danger were to come upon the delegation, the army would march south and the empires would be tangled into a heavy war. This is the general's accord. Everyone felt a shiver run down their spine. The enemy emperor's left and right arm help each other while our 4 pillars are stuck in a conflict. If not for Tianyu's vast lands and many talents cropping up, as well as the 7 noble houses and the empire's 3 guardian sects, we'd have long since fallen. Everyone shook their heads. What about the babe? Long Xingyun licked his lips, enraptured as he was, pointing at the girl Dugu Feng deadpanned. She is Tuoba Tieshan's only daughter and Tuoba Liufeng's younger sister, Taba Liener, hailed as the #1 beauty in Chuanrong and owner of impressive beast-rearing skills. But she is yet to show up on the battlefield and is of weak cultivation. There's nothing about her worth mentioning. Oh, Brother Dugu, what kind of man are you? How can you use strength to judge such a fine specimen? Stomping his feet in admiration, Long Xingyun said, She and our women are different, but it's all in the style. I wonder if I can invite her over during her stay in Tianyu. A night in the warm candlelight, a beautiful entanglement, and the War of the Nations may very well be a thing of the past. Perv. The women rolled their eyes, the men twitched and sighed. Dugu Feng said, Brother Long, it's best that you forget about her. She is the commander's daughter for one, and although no one has seen her skills, she is no pushover. Don't test her and turn this into an even bigger issue. No biggie. Some flowers you can pick, some you can only admire. This young master has a self-esteem. Ha! The beauty below simply danced in the infatuated eyes of Long Xing and the others, merely shrugged, veiled dragon pavilions. Young pavilion lord was a casual romantic, unlike the savage Zhuofan. He ought to know when to stop, no. Meanwhile, Zhuofan stared down Tuoba Lufeng in thought. Then he grinned. Telling you to step back is out of respect for you. Faraway guests. Do you really want me to do it? Ha ha ha, if you must. Tuoba Lufeng grinned back, and the Chuanrong were looking at Zhuofan with mockery. The spiritual beasts under them were their lifetime companions, listening to nobody's orders but them. As for cowering them, ha, like that's going to happen. These weren't your average beasts, mind you, but comrades in arms as they had shed blood and sweat on the battlefield together. Their wills were tougher than ever. It came as no surprise that no one believed Zhuofan was up to the task. Have it your way. Zhuofan snorted inside. took all the spiritual beasts in his eyes, and his grin spread wider and wider. Toba Liufeng's instincts kicked in, and his heart shuddered. As for the cause of the queasiness, he had no idea. Shove off! Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted azure along with his bark. It rang louder and louder in the spiritual beast's ears. It was then that a ripple swept across them. The still cheerful spiritual beasts froze, and their riders looked down stunned before the riders could even grab their mane. The beasts were howling away under the stunned gazes of everyone. The 1,000 spiritual beasts scampered off towards the city gates, running for their lives. Paying no heed to the riders' orders, something of incredible dread and terror consumed their minds, driving them insane and leaving them with only the instinct of fleeing. The bond between man and beast, forged in the thick of battle, through happiness and sadness, now laid broken. What the hell? Stop this instant! Tuoba Liufeng's mount was also frantic, but no matter what he said, it wouldn't listen, so he took to the sky, watching the 1,000 beasts on the ground stampeding for the gates, the 6th level spiritual beasts included. It only took a second for them to clear the city. They left behind a bunch of rattled and sorry-ass riders, with an unlucky few trampled under the horde, ending up with broken bones by the dozen. There was not a face out there in another state than bugged out and slack-jawed. Except, of course, Long Xingyun's gang on the 2nd floor, who only chuckled. They had been through this kind of thing back in the esoteric debate, where Zhuo Fan scared away the blood crocs with a glare. Using savage beasts in front of Zhuo Fan was like asking for a beat-down Chuanrong Empire, founded on Beastmasters, had met their nemesis in Zhuo Fan. The 6 people in the air faced this incredulous, inconceivable, and preposterous scene with blank minds. Tuoba Liufeng even looked at his sister. Lianer, you're the best at controlling beasts. Just what is going on here? How should I know? Tauba, Lianer soured for a second, then recalled something. He squinted at Zhuo Fan for a whole 15 minutes, before crying, "It's you!" Zhuo Fan turned towards her. "Someone from Chuanrong knows me." Zhuo Fan took a single look at her, and his heart started beating a mile a minute. She was that same girl he had saved back in Beast King Mountain, the one he had swindled out of the shaping spring she had stuck her claim on. Oh, so she's from the Chuanrong Empire. Perhaps he didn't care then to look closer, or it's been too long that he didn't spot her. When the Chuanrong got here, all he cared about was their level. He had no intention to care about some woman's looks, unlike that loaf Long Xingyun, who could tell on the spot how many moles a girl had. Tauba Lianer hadn't guessed, either, since Zhuo Fan now had a thick mane of white hair. But the instant Zhuo Fan scared the beasts off, she was brought back to Beast King Mountain on a closer look. She figured him out. The two stared off in silence and puzzlement. Who is he? What is he doing in the imperial capital? Whose house's steward is he? So the girl is a Chuanrong. But what was she doing on Beast King Mountain? At the time of the esoteric debate, no less. Does it have something to do with the Chuanrong delegation's aim for coming here? Zhuo Fan pondered on the 2nd floor. Luo Yunchang's face was hard. That rotten, stinking prick. He knows another lady. Sigh. Another hottie falls into Brother Zhuo's clutches. I admit defeat. Long Xingyun sat back with hands behind his head. Just how many chicks does Brother Zhuo know anyway? For him to get close to even the Chuanrong Empire's girls, he is one Casanova. Lianer, do you know each other? Tuoba Liufeng asked. Tauba Lianer whispered. Brother, he is the one I had talked about, the weird one I came across. What? Tuoba Liufeng set his bloodthirsty eyes on Zhuo Fan. There's actually a man in this world with such absolute power over beasts. He is the greatest threat to us. He has to be put down. Chapter 393. Tianyu's #1 Thorn. Chapter 393. Tianyu's #1 Thorn. Ice-cold and unbridled killing intent shot forth. It stabbed into the people's hearts like biting winds in the coldest winter. Damn. Tuoba Liufeng is usually calm. Why then the sudden thirst for blood? Dugu Feng grew nervous. Long Xingyun grinned. Why indeed? But even if they show their tough side again, Brother Zhuo is sure to nail them dead. What's there to worry about? That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Who here doesn't know about Zhuo Fan's temper? Irritated enough, those guys won't see tomorrow. If anything happens to them, what will Tuoba Tieshan's 5 million army at the border do? Dugu Feng shook his head, the rest stirred. Makes sense. Zhuo Fan merely curled an eyebrow in glee. Come on, make a move already. Jalahan, Jabi, Falcon formation. We'll do it in one move. Tuoba Liufeng's eyes trembled, watching Zhuo Fan. Coldly the masked man nodded, and Jalahan was exuberant. His flesh trembling in joy. Imperial tutor Han Tiama wasn't quite in agreement. Lu Feng, we don't know what he can do or who's behind him. Attacking him rashly is thoughtless. Him being a threat is enough. He has got to go now, or our beast armies will suffer. Tuoba Lu Feng set his jaw. We are in an altercation with him now. This is the best excuse to ice him. When we see Tianyu's emperor later, we'll just say that the guy got too confident of his blue blood in stopping us and got killed by a stray attack. Han Temon nodded after a long pause, but his heart was still unsettled from the moment he had laid eyes on Zhuo Fan. The imperial tutor felt a thorn in his heart. This was his intuition he had built over the decades, thinking of the last time this feeling came. It was when he met Zhuge Changfeng. Sigh. Tianyu has so many talents. Han Tiama noticed the sharp look in Zhuo Fan's eyes and sighed attack. Zhao Lahan laughed, going after Zhuo Fan with bloodshot eyes, his face twisted and savage. Shabi took out a glittering golden longbow, pulling the string like second nature as he aimed for Zhuo Fan, snickering. Zhuo Fan flicked his right hand in contempt. Stop! An aged voice towered over the commotion, and Zhuo Fan was found overshadowed by a figure pointing his long blade at the six. Tuoba Lu Feng. Han Tiama, what do you think you're doing? Rumble. Zhao Lahan paused at his arrival. Tuoba Lu Feng sighed in the end. Withdraw. Shabi figured that was the case and put away his bow. Tuoba Lu Feng cupped his hands at the towering figure, expressing respect for once. Marshal Dugu, it's been ages. With the two nations tangled up in war for decades, the commanders had long since grown accustomed to one another, forming mutual respect. A hero valued another. Regardless of which side they were on, Chuanrong's entire leadership present here showed their respect to the man called Dugu Zhantian at the arrival of the marshal. Everyone sighed, knowing the fight was a bust. Zhao Lahan snorted, unwilling to let Zhuo Fan just walk away. Zhuo Fan couldn't care less. Oh, he did find it a darn shame as well, having lost the chance to probe them, although not a complete waste of time, as he did get a ballpark figure, Marshal Dugu. How can your people lack even common decency? We represent the Chuanrong Emperor in presenting your nation's majesty with a gift. Is this how a host acts? Scaring our mounts and harming our warriors? Tauba Liener glared at Zhuo Fan while hurling her accusations. The way she figured was, with Dugu Zhantian's position in Tianyu, if he didn't give Zhuo Fan a heavy punishment, he'd at least give him something. Maybe a slap on the wrist. That would settle her current and past hatred nicely as shame. Dugu Zhantian saw Zhuo Fan lollygagging behind, sloppy, bored, and uninterested. The perfect picture of an innocent bystander. Sighing, the old man went in the air towards the six. The six were still very much respectful as Dugu Zhantian whispered. Imperial tutor, Tuoba Lu Feng, seeing you faraway guests, I'll give you a good-natured suggestion. Forget about your rancor and drop this issue here for your sake. You can't mess with that guy. The six were startled, looking at Zhuo Fan in shock. The Grand Marshal of Tianyu was dead serious, even advising them against pushing it. As the Chuanrong delegation, they represented their empire. No matter which noble or powerful figure appeared, everyone ought to show a modicum of decency to pave the way to the nation's peace talks, and Dugu Zhantian was a man above a sea of people in Tianyu, respected and admired, who would dare put on a tough front in front of him. But the way he had worded his advice and his tone all pointed towards the fact that the kid downstairs was above his station. Who the hell is this guy? After one last look at Zhuo Fan, they snapped their evil glares behind them on obscure wolf. Just how do you gather intel when you missed such a glaring threat? Hu Lianchai was downcast too, returning an angry stare, then lowering his head in shame while he did have a look at all of Tianyu's great men and houses. But who knew where this brat had popped out of, having such godlike power? Marshal Dugu, who is he? How come even you are reluctant to face him? Taubeliener asked the rest of them, put on the same inquisitive expression as well Dugu Zhantian sighed. I am not reluctant, but simply find him a pain, a thorn to avoid. The second prince stepped on his toes, and he leveled his home. You are the Chuanrong, and I fear that if anything happens to you, it will plunge our nation into a bitter war. I can't have that. Ha ha ha, you must be thinking I stopped you for his sake, right? When I was in fact helping you. Rumble. All of their minds were shell-shocked at the impact this news had revealed two crucial pieces of info. Zhuo Fan's authority in Tianyu burst at the seams to ignore the emperor and kick a prince around second was Zhuo Fan's power. Not even the 6 of them could stop him, but instead might end up with casualties and worsening the ties between nations. Why is it that we've never heard a word of such a valiant character? On cue, they glanced at Hu Lianchai again, but the guy wiggled his body away and avoided the stabbing gazes. He wished he could stuff his head in his pants from shame. How mortifying for an intelligence officer. Let me take you to the imperial palace. Now remember, keep your distance as much as possible. Dugu Zhantian sighed, then flew toward Zhuo Fan. Kid, I don't care what happened. Just please let this one go on my account. They are our guests. Zhuo Fan nodded. Fine, since the old marshal asked, I will. Please do pass this along. This is my turf and not their backyard to jaywalk. Zhuo Fan was talking to Dugu Zhantian, sure, but he was so loud even deaf geezers could hear him, and before he forgot, he left the 6 with a middle finger as goodbye, making the 6's face boil in rage. Only then he sauntered off to Yun Shuang, taking her through the Chuanrong army like a champ. The men pranked by Zhuo Fan were wailing, and now that he was parading among them, their anger pushed them to the edge, but without the 6 orders, neither budged an inch. Forced to let Zhuo Fan's group swag their way across, he didn't leave them in the dust, but sure as hell left the Chuanrong army without an ounce of dignity. Awesome. Long Xingyun gave a thumbs up. Sticking close to Brother Zhuo is the best. Dugu Feng sighed. Thank God Godfather mediated before the matter escalated. This maverick demonic dragon was assumed to be the wolves' next meal. Yet now they were the ones left whimpering. Dugu Zhantian shook his head and led the outraged Chuanrongs 6 to the imperial palace. Only this time, the 6 no longer had their cocky attitude. Not after the bruises their pride took, just a while back. Not in their dreams had they thought it humanly possible that in this trip to Tianyu, while they had barely crossed the city gates, they would be molded into shape. Forget about dignity, they had lost all self-respect. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng and all the officials stood before the imperial palace's gates. They had waited and waited, until finally, by some miracle, the Chuanrong arrived. Except the 6 behind Dugu Zhantian, the rest looked like shuffling and dragging their feet. Some even had to be carried face twitching. The Minister of War whispered, Prime Minister, are they the Chuanrong? Why do they look like stragglers from a routed army? Zhuge Changfeng pondered and soon came to a conclusion with a smile. Ha ha ha, I believe they were indeed routed. I reckon they went head-to-head with Tianyu's number 1 thorn. The officials were stunned, then snickered inside. This new generation. Chapter 394. Same side. Chapter 394. Same side. Zhuge Changfeng welcomed them. Ignoring their sorry states out of respect, he led them inside the imperial palace, where feast was held along with the officials. With how the emperor's birthday had yet to come, the emperor wasn't present after the feast. The delegation was taken to their quarters. Outside imperial palace, they stayed silent all this time, a veiled contempt at Tianyu's lavish and exaggerated style. You had us come in all this way, and now you want us out? We didn't even see the emperor yet. That's a custom for you. Going in for a feast is having good manners. But you're not the big cheese here to live in the fancy and grand imperial palace. Chuanrong's 6 leaders entered a high-class tavern, while the soldiers were housed in garrisons guarded by Dugu Zhantian's army. He said guarding, but it wasn't much different from keeping an eye on them to curb any violent behavior on Chuanrong's part in the dead of night. A slim figure dodged the patrols and sneaked up to a lit-up house, knocking twice. "Brother, it's me." The door opened just a crack, and the figure slipped right in. Looking up, she was no other than Taoba Lianer's 6 people were in the room, the leaders of the Chuanrong Empire's delegation, and one who had yet to reveal his face. "Who is he?" Taoba Lianer pointed at the robed person, Tuoba Lufeng, and the imperial tutor exchanged a smile when the hooded figure raised his head. He spoke in a familiar tone. "Ha ha ha, Miss Lianer, we've been chatting all day at the feast, yet you've already forgotten me." "SS." Taoba Lianer glanced at the aged man and stuttered. "Zijuga Changfeng? What are you?" "Lianer, don't make a fuss. Prime Minister Zhuge," her brother smiled, "is on the same side as us." "What?" Taoba Lianer stared at Zhuge Changfeng for a good while, not quite able to wrap her head around that notion. The great leader of Tianyu's 4 pillars was on Chuanrong's side. Zhuge Changfeng smiled at her obvious confusion. "Miss Lianer, I and your esteemed father, imperial tutor, and your emperor have been in secret contact for decades." Lianer blinked her big pity eyes, turning to her brother, only to find him nodding. "Now a believer," she said, "I finally get why you were so confident in this mission. You had Prime Minister Zhuge on the inside. He's the one you called the most reliable spy." Tuoba Lufeng merely grinned. He then said, "Prime Minister, sir, has there been no changes to the plan? I get the feeling the situation in Tianyu has gone through upheaval." "Ha ha ha, the young general is keen. It has indeed been so over these past few years. Our plan will just have to keep up with the times." Zhuge Changfeng nodded. "Worry not, though. The stage has changed in our favor and not against it." "How can you be so sure?" Han Tianma said. Zhuge Changfeng had a confident smile. The original plan was to use the Centennial Jubilee as an excuse to bring high-ranked Chuanrong into the imperial capital. When the time is right, Commander Tuoba will put pressure on the borders, taking Dugu Zhantian away and leaving the playing field open for the Regent estate to incite chaos in its conquest of the houses. With the Emperor's men busy with the mess, he'll have no one next to him, giving us the perfect opportunity to cut his head. The plan was 90% assured of success. Once the Emperor falls, the rest will follow. With no support, the veteran Dugu Zhantian will be beaten back as well. At this point, the Chuanrong army will have free rein to go across the country, with Tianyu all for the taking. The crucial point is for all these scenarios to happen at the same time. By the time the Empire's 3 guardian sects find out, it'll be too late. We'll just give them a little something to soothe them later, and Tianyu will be ours. Yes, that's the original plan. But what has changed? Han Tianma asked. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes flashed. This change came out of the blue to everyone. Tianyu no longer has 7 noble houses, rather 8. It is now in an even more tangled mess, with 3 factions in a deadlock. Even the ambitious regent estate finds this situation hard to overcome. How can Tuoba Lufeng was frantic? Zhuge Changfeng gave him a long look. Actually, you've already met with the 8th house today. Luo clan, led by that steward, Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan? The same one who blocked us? Everyone cried out. Tuoba Lufeng thirsted for blood. He can't be left alive. Since they are foiling our plan, then we will help Regent Estate in rooting them out. Young master, Tuoba, take it easy. Zhuge Changfeng threw a mocking smile. If Zhuo Fan was such an easy target, he'd be dead ages ago. With all due respect, as you are now, facing Zhuo Fan will end with you all getting annihilated. Each of them was shocked and looked at Zhuge Changfeng incredulously. Taoba Lianer snapped. Prime Minister Zhuge is trying to scare us. I've met with Zhuo Fan before. He is strong, yes, but not invincible. Jalahan or Jabi. In fact, anyone here can easily kill him. With 2 against him, he is sure to breathe his last for good. Jalahan and Jabi swelled with pride. We ain't top Chuanrong warriors for nothing. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Ha ha ha, Miss Lianer, when did you meet him? What was his cultivation? Around a year ago. He was a peak bone tempering cultivator then. Taoba Lianer recalled. Now that he's in the 3rd layer of profound heaven stage, it proves he's incredible, but nothing we can't handle. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. Anything can change given enough time. For a monster like Zhuofan, a year is more than enough. Ha ha ha, look beyond his low cultivation. Pitting your radiant stage experts against him is overconfidence and blind ambition. You're setting yourself up for failure. Jia Lahan and Jabi glowered as Zhuge Changfeng continued uncaringly and spoke with an exceedingly cold gaze. Not to mention, Tianyu's every faction is in a deadlock. Looks quiet from the outside, but a storm is brewing underneath the surface. It's the best time for our plan. And the best candidate to break the stalemate is none other than the dauntless Zhuofan. You can't touch him before that, understand? Zhuge Changfeng's speech ended with a command, not something the Chuanrong's top dogs would be keen to readily accept. Only Han Tianma was pensive before nodding. You know the situation better than us. We will listen to the Prime Minister. Zhuge Changfeng nodded pleased. He chatted for a while longer and then slipped away. His 2 elders were waiting outside with Zhuge Changfeng gone. Jalahan was the first to act out. Imperial tutor, young master, are we just going to do what the old fox said? We have no choice. We are strangers in a strange land and shouldn't act on a whim. Han Tianma said, Obscure wolf, you have 3 days to find out about Tianyu's latest events. And this time, don't let the factions' relations and their actions escape your notice. Face red, Hu Lianchai bowed and left in the pitch-black night. Meanwhile, in the imperial palace's study, the emperor was reading the reports when a repartee came. A black figure kneeled. Your Majesty, news has come that the Chuanrong delegation is housed. Also, the Prime Minister has made contact. The emperor's beard shook and he grinned. Ha ha ha, it has finally begun. The emperor took black and white pieces from a chess box beside him and threw them on the ground. The pieces are in play. All that's left is a checkmate. At the parish's observatory, Yun Shuang inspected the sky with the heaven communing apparatus. Zhuofan stood watch with a frown. Replaying today's events, that Chuanrong girl in particular kept coming back to him. The heaven communing apparatus stopped, and Yun Shuang looked winded, with faint sweat on her brow. How is it, Shuanga? Any changes for the better? Zhuofan asked, shaking her head. Shuanga was grave. Not only there are no changes for the better, but the crouching dragon looks more imposing, ready to take flight. Zhuofan knew it to be the sign of being on the brink of ruling this land. In other words, Chuanrong's arrival made the imperial family more powerful. That's terribly strange, unless... Zhuofan's eyes glinted. Yin Shuang begged, Steward Zhuo, this sight has shown me that the land will be in even more chaos. The people will be in pain, suffering, and will be wretched. I beg of you, please save them. You alone can change this fate. Yun clan people are so strange. You've set aside your revenge for your kin and instead care for others. Zhuofan grinned. No worries, you are with me now. I will help you achieve your wish. No, it's for the people, Yun Shuang justified. Zhuofan teased. I'll do it for you, but don't feel like doing the same for the people. Now, who do you want me to do it for again? For me, blushing. Yun Shuang lowered her head. Zhuofan laughed, his mind filled with constant thoughts. Everyone is dead focused on the Luo clan. Chapter 395, Picking a Spot. Chapter 395, Picking a Spot. For 3 days, the Chuanrong delegation was confined to the garrisons. Lacking the emperor's direct summons, the guards looked dangerously close to wardens. By now, they were bored out of their minds, waiting for Hu Lianchai to send back something. Anything. With a ripple, a tall wall of the courtyard wiggled at one spot. followed by the sneaky Hu Lianchai finally making his appearance with no guard being any wiser. Tuoba Lufeng signaled them to get back in the room to discuss. Hu Lianchai, have you found out Tianyu's situation? Tuoba Lufeng asked. Hu Lianchai gave a heavy nod and saluted. Young master, Tianyu is just like we've learnt from Prime Minister Zhuge, having experienced great change. All brought upon by the same man that stopped our march, Zhuge Fan. He is a hard man to deal with. Tuoba Lufeng raised an eyebrow, staring him in the eye and motioning to continue after taking a moment to organize his thoughts from his overexcited heart. Hu Lianchai stressed every word. Based on my investigation, there was no 8th noble house 8 years ago, but a nameless third-rate clan. But under Steward Zhuge's leadership, this clan struck like lightning, killing everyone in their path to reach the status of 8th noble house. He is a rare talent, with a sharp mind and boundless might. Hu Lianchai gave a systematic recount of the clan's history, sighing now and then, but all out of respect and fear. The narration took half a day. Everyone watched him blankly, their lips dry, unable to believe. Tuoba Lufeng and Imperial Tutor were downright plagued with worry in less than a decade. He had raised a third-rate clan into a house, even surpassing their 1,000-year-old legacy. This man was a true rarity. He wasn't just some guy with a gimmick, but an unheard-of genius in the truest sense of the word. Hu Lianchai, are you sure you aren't wrong? How could this have happened? How is he so strong? Jia Lahan protested in his denial, rolling his eyes. Hu Lianchai was just as bitter. Do you think I want to believe this fairy tale? Am I that much of a fool? Everyone on the streets knows about this, down to the last bum. I am forced to believe it. That's why Zhuge Changfeng told us to stay clear of him. He is a serious threat. It's best we follow his advice for now. Han Tianma, said Tuoba. Lufeng squinted while pondering, but nodded in the end. He will become our end if we don't get rid of him. But with how few we are, it'll be hard if he possesses the skills they say he does. We need to think of the bigger picture. Tuoba Lufeng had to accept it no matter how much it pained him. Jalahan was completely against it still. Didn't Tuoba Liener just say that me and Jabi are enough to waste him? This is absurd. The young commander had complete trust in the 8 wolf wardens. Any impossible mission would be completed once they stepped in. So why was it that against a Tianyu whelp he had lost all confidence? Jia Lahan grumbled inside, glancing at Jabi. From his icy look, he figured the guy was of the same mind. Now we know Tianyu's situation and need only to wait for the Emperor's summons. Hu Lianchai, resume scouting and report anything you find, even rumors. The rest of you are dismissed. Understood. Tuoba Lufeng had them all withdraw. Hu Lianchai bowed as they all went their separate ways, and Hu Lianchai was all hush-hush in his sneaking out. Someone called out, Hu Lianchai, wait. Hu Lianchai turned to see Tuoba Liener bringing Jalahan and Jabi. He bowed. Young miss, do you need me? Hu Lianchai, your stealth cultivation method is rare in this world. Can you also take us along? Liener looked at him with hope flashing in her eyes. Hu Lianchai frowned. Young miss, are you? Ha ha ha. To be perfectly honest, old pal, we want to get rid of that insufferable prick. Jia Lahan shouted, his face twisted with malice. Hu Lianchai paled. You can't. Let's say the rumors about him are inflated. But that doesn't mean you can beat him. We still don't know what he did to reach such a high position, all by himself too. Moving without the Imperial Tutor and young masters, consent will affect the plan. We can't take responsibility for that. I just can't take you. The 3 nodded, figuring as much. Still, Tuoba Liener continued. Then we won't kill him, and we'll just teach him a lesson. Hu Lianchai, you've heard it as well. How brother isn't confident in you 8 wolf wardens. We have to prove him wrong, to wash away this shame as Chuanrong warriors. What if the kid is as godlike as they say? Enough ifs. Rumors always tend to exaggerate. When have you seen someone that's strong around, taking the attacks of 2 peak radiant stage experts at the 3rd layer of profound heaven stage? That's inhuman. Taube Liener cut him off with a strong objection. Jalahan, with your innate power, you've lived among spiritual beasts deep in the mountains until 20. Can you do it? Do you believe such a ridiculous thing actually took place on this earth? Jalahan shook his head with a smile. Young miss, I don't mean to brag, but I have yet to find someone who can survive my strength. When I entered the radiant stage, I could handle a peak radiant stage body cultivator's attack, while 2 would be somewhat harder. This is why I do not give credence to what Hu Lianchai says about the prick's masterstroke. It is a fantasy, a made-up fairy tale. Yeah, I've met the guy, and even though he is fast at cultivation, that doesn't make him invincible. We're only going to expose the charlatan for who he is and showcase the divine might of Chuanrong. Taube Liener's face was filled with pride, not to mention that bastard was mean to me back in Beast King Mountain. He even stole my stuff, and I'm supposed to just let him get away with it? We, Chuanrong, are no pushovers. Hu Lianchai nodded. They were warriors who didn't know how to retreat. Of course, they'd be sure to vent their temper tantrum with no more preamble. Hu Lianchai nodded. All right, young miss, enter my beast-holding ring. I'll take you out. Eyes aglint, Taube Liener and the other 2 perked up in a flash of white. Hu Lianchai had them tucked away. Hu Lianchai's figure shimmered, and he soon blended in with nature, moving around like a heat wave. Meanwhile, in the Regent of Prosperity's compound's garden, Zhuo Fan was sipping green tea under a pavilion. In front of him were a handful of rocks scattered around on the table. Zhuo Fan was steadily looking at them. Steward Zhuo, what's on your mind? A soft voice broke his reverie. Noticing Yun Shuang coming over the stones had names on them, to which Yun Shuang said, I see, Steward Zhuo is brainstorming how to get out of this impasse. Yeah, the 4 factions, including Chuanrong, are now in a standoff. Zhuo Fan smiled, sipping his tea, and weighed a rock. Neither side wants the deadlock to persist, looking for a palooka so hard in the head that he'd smash this stalemate wide open. But who'd be willing to become the eye of the storm, the public enemy number 1, whose fate is to be torn to shreds? Yun Shuang looked at him at a loss. Scratching her head, Zhuo Fan smiled. I didn't want to do it, but Schwanger, what I understood from your readings is that all these insidious players have one thing in common. They all want to make me the scapegoat. Such a fate is hard to change, even if I'm willing. Yun Shuang saw the look in his eyes and started to worry. Zhuo Fan laughed at her look. Relax, since I know heaven's direction. I'll just move against the grain. They want me to become the center of it all. That's fine by me. They'll just have to witness the second coming of Gu Santong. But unlike him, I'm not one to fall so easily. Zhuo Fan snickered. Yun Shuang sighed. She had yet to get used to seeing his evil grin, but felt at ease knowing Zhuo Fan had made up his mind. Yongning took this moment to make her presence noticed in her fashionable and cross-gender, cross-cultural, cross-age, cross-dressing, scholarly get-up. Schwanger, Zhuo Fan, to celebrate Imperial Father's centennial jubilee. The Imperial capital is holding a lantern festival. Let's all go. You sneaked out again. Zhuo Fan was in no mood, not interested. Yongning deflated and turned to Yun Shuang. As the good sister she was, Yun Shuang knew what Yongning was thinking. Steward Zhuo, the imperial capital is in turmoil, and for 2 weak girls to go alone. Fine, fine. You're an asset I have to protect and keep close. Zhuo Fan waved to her and shook his head. The girls hid a sneaky smile. Chapter 396. Ambush at Lantern Festival. Chapter 396. Ambush at Lantern Festival. On the night of the Lantern Festival, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting someone. With their emperor's birthday fast approaching, the buildings were decorated with lanterns, turning the capital into a breathtaking scene. Many romantics and couples took full advantage of this rare occasion to get together and whisper sweet nothings to their better half. Then again, an exception was almost guaranteed to exist. Sticking out like a sore thumb was a guy with white hair, surrounded by 3 bells and at the admiration of the crowd. Buddy, you're one daring trailblazer on the righteous path of love. We, poor fellows, only date 1 on the night of Lantern Festival, while you've come out with 3. I tip my hat to you, sir. The eerie looks came everywhere he went. Zhuo Fan's face was twitching looking at the girls with a sigh. Yongning wanted to come with Yin Chuang. But since Luo Yinchang overheard them, she just had to join. She even shot down anyone else who wanted to join them, lest they became a third wheel. Sister, please, isn't it already a crowd with 3 girls in tow? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, hearing the bubbly girls giggle and chatter. All this time he was sighing and sighing. At some point, a sharp and heavy sound came, followed by a mighty pressure, clearly focused on Zhuo Fan. Dodge. Zhuo Fan waved at the girls, sweeping them off their feet and sending them 100 meters away. Yongning ended up sputtering dust from the maltreatment. She slapped the ground, getting to her feet, and told him off. Zhuo Fan, what the hell is wrong with you? She was royally pissed. Here she was taking the guy on a night out and earning some brownie points, and the twit had sent her flying. That's no way to treat a friend, especially a princess. But noticing that Zhuo Fan was staring at the sky, she did as well and gasped. The other girls paled as well. Filled with worry for Zhuo Fan, a bludgeon, easily 10 meters in diameter, came smashing on Zhuo Fan's head. On the other end of the mace was Jia Lahen. With bloodshot eyes and a malignant face, he wanted to flatten Zhuo Fan in one strike. You pompous cretin, weren't you godlike? Try this on for size. Jia Lahen cackled inside. The average people participating in the lovely festival shivered all over and scurried for their lives. Where did that meteor come from? It'll ruin the celebration. The ever-cold Zhuo Fan flicked his Qilin arm, now shining red. Bam! Zhuo Fan smacked the bludgeon into the pavement, sending an earthquake that flattened anything in its path. Destroying the lanterns, the girls flew again from the shock wave, with blood coming from their mouths, finally recovering their wits after the fall. They found a dozens of meter-wide crater at the epicenter. The golden bludgeon stood there majestic, and Zhuo Fan was buried under it. Zhuo Fan! The girls' cries went unanswered. Jia Lahen floated above, pleased as Punch, holding the mace. Ha ha ha, I knew you weren't up to snuff. One smash, and I've plastered you. I should have just used 1/3 of my power instead. Jia Lahen. A figure flashed above the mace. Taubeliener, look what you've done. Didn't we say we're only teaching him a lesson? Why kill him? And there's not even a corpse left. How will we explain this to the others? Shrugging, Jia Lahen chuckled. It's not my fault that the brat was weak and was posing around with that cocky attitude. What taking 2 peak radiant stage experts attacks? That was clearly a lie. If I had known he was a wimp, an average profound heaven cultivator, I'd have used only 1%. Humph, he had it coming. That's besides the point. It was us who acted first. With such a ruckus, our plan... Taubeliener face-bombed. Her rant came to a halt when a casual voice said, "What is your plan?" The two watched the massive bludgeon rocking, unleashing heavy tremors. Why, young miss, that power. Jia Lahen felt himself being lifted along with his arm. No matter what he did to stop it, the force came from the crater, and he realized that he didn't have enough strength to fight it. This is impossible. Since when did the world have such a mighty being? Jia Lahen narrowed his eyes and watched Zhuo Fan lifting the mace up with one hand, like a giant holding the heavens. His casual look gave the feeling that he wasn't even pushing it. Zhuo Fan! The girls cheered. Taubeliener pointed with a trembling finger. He's still alive and not a scratch on him. Jia Lahen, use everything to push him back. I already am. Gnashing his teeth, Jia Lahen's face twisted as he swelled under the strain. But no amount of strength proved to be of any use. Still being unable to budge the mace, Taubeliener paled, looking at Zhuo Fan like he was a monster. Can the rumors be true? Does he truly surpass the strongest of our people, Jia Lahen? She used to think that her father's savage wolf was the strongest person there was. But today, Zhuo Fan was handling him like a child. Zhuo Fan put on a savage grin. This doesn't look like a good place to chat. That makes this stick an eyesore. With a cold glint, Zhuo Fan gripped harder. Crack. Snapping sounds jarred the ears of everyone as the bludgeon was covered in fractures. Zhuo Fan added just a hint more oomph, and the giant stick fell into pieces. Everyone watched in stunned silence. The Chuanrong were even more shocked The purple, gold-forged, heaven-breaking bludgeon was a 5th-grade spiritual weapon, and this guy used his brawn alone to crush it in his hand. What is he? Ja Lahan's face was unnatural, to say the least. He had never heard of such freakish power, and was now shocked to his core as a typical narcissist. He took it upon himself as being the best there was, only to face the harsh and cruel reality. There would always be someone better Jabi and who Lianchai acted as spectators, scared out of their minds. The rumors didn't even do Zhuo Fan's power justice. That damn hearsay is asking us to get beat. In what way is he any weaker? Hu Lianchai felt like crying. His intel gathering had hit a snag again. Zhuo Fan drifted over to a panicked Taubeliener, his smile wide and creepy. About that plan of yours, care to fill me in? Gulping, Taubeliener was lost for words in fear. Ja Lahan sweated buckets, his eyes only reflecting fear. But he wasn't part of the 8 wolf wardens for nothing. He wouldn't give up just like that. It went double for when his young miss was under threat while Zhuo Fan was focused on the inner. He took out an identical bludgeon. After a short wind-up, he socked Zhuo Fan's head with it. Zhuo Fan never even looked, merely flicking it away in pieces, while the weapon's owner's arm snapped from the power running through the crumbling bludgeon. Ja Lahan still hadn't woken up to smell the roses. A mere wave from Zhuo Fan broke Chuanrong's best warrior's arm like a twig. This freak is not human. He is worse than a spiritual beast. Ja Lahan's arm dangled while he sweated like a pig. His heart was consumed by fear and in denial of what was right in front of him. It took a long time for it to sink in. The fear, the dread, the futility of it all. Taubeliener gave the wretched Ja Lahan a long look, then looked at the grinning Zhuo Fan. The poor girl was about to cry. She was really regretting it now, messing with a monster without rhyme or reason. Jabi at the side had his bow and arrow primed, aimed between Zhuo Fan's eyes. He was also soaked in sweat. It was sky-piercing Wolf's first time facing such a thorn. Chapter 397. The Tragic Case of the Divine Archer. Chapter 397. The Tragic Case of the Divine Archer. Whoosh! Flashes of golden ripped the sky, each one going for Zhuo Fan. Upon a closer look, those golden lights were nothing more than golden arrows. They pierced the clouds, surging with relentless power, and, what's more, were in the hundreds. It was beyond comprehension how one man could shoot so many arrows. And those weren't your run-of-the-mill arrows either, but 5th-grade spiritual weapons. Each arrow was locked onto Zhuo Fan's vitals. Even before they arrived, Zhuo Fan already got the feeling of turning into a pincushion. That sky-piercing wolf's ultimate skill, 9th Heaven Impaler? Raising an eyebrow just a smidge, Zhuo Fan nodded. Not bad. He does have the skill of a divine archer to be able to injure Dugu Zhantian. Taubeliener looked grave. Why, you know Jabi? Sure. I heard of him from my young master, and he heard it from his foster brothers, for tigers of Tianyu. Zhuo Fan smiled. Miss Lianer, now don't go thinking only you do your homework. Our side likes gossip too. Of course, I got to hear of our dear friend's remarkable skill. Zhuo Fan lifted his right arm towards the incoming rain of arrows. It shone red, and he grinned. His bow and arrow can be as strong as he likes, but they still won't ever get to best my sacred arm. Taubeliener realized he knew everything about them. Taking him by surprise was nigh impossible now. A darn shame Jabi was the exception. Humph, posh prick. People don't just pace around, they improve. Everything you know about us is outdated. Taubeliener snickered. Grabbing Ja Lahan and flying away, Zhuo Fan was at a loss, seeing her pull some distance, and then it happened. The shining arrow rain split in every direction. They surrounded Zhuo Fan, and only then shot towards him. Now Zhuo Fan had no way to dodge. Being at the center of an imploding sphere of arrows, any weakness Zhuo Fan had would be most clearly struck. His 2 beast fists were in no way capable of defending every inch of him, either. He was at death's door. Ha ha ha! See that rotten jerk? That's Jabi's newest ultimate, 1000-arrow focal. This is his first time using it on the field. Try and block that. Taubeliener was delighted in Zhuo Fan's plight. The girls below were worried. Sick the smile on Jibi grew and grew. He knew exactly what this move could do. Each arrow was a 5th-grade spiritual weapon, each fired at full power, and now had the guy surrounded. It was impossible to make a perfect dodge or block. Even if Zhuo Fan survived, he'd be in a world of pain. This is called flawless archery. Jibi had moved himself by what he had accomplished. Using his newest ultimate on a super expert like Zhuo Fan was the best field test. Zhuo Fan wasn't that thrilled. He sighed and dropped his hand. Word on the street is that 9th Heaven Impaler is incredible. I thought of giving it a shot and to see how my arm fares. Yet instead I'm stuck with some 1,000-arrow something. How droll. Jibi almost spat blood. His toil and sweat in creating this ultimate skill had earned a huge ixnay by Zhuo Fan's evaluation. His heart couldn't take it. Humph. Ignorant sad sack. We'll see who's crying later. Taubeliener stuck out her head, having the same reaction. Humph, cut the act. You may be strong, but not even you can fend off this attack. You're finished. The sparkling arrows were this close to prick Zhuo Fan. Not that he cared. How about a bet? If even one arrow touches me, my head is yours. If not, I ask Miss to be kind enough to explain that little plan of yours. Fine. Taubeliener was incensed, replying on the spot. While Jalahen was panicking, young Miss Liener dissed him with a wave. The glittering arrows were now a meter away from Zhuo Fan. There was no way he could get out of that, not when they covered all exits. Taubeliener thought this bet was a foregone conclusion. Jalahen nodded as well, snickering inside. The kid is strong, but not capable of avoiding all of that. Young Miss will win by a landslide. But their next reaction was, Holy Mother of God, how can he do this? Zhuo Fan squinted. A soul ripple flashed, and he picked up on Jibi hiding behind a tree 1,000 meters out. Jibi sensed it as well and knew that Zhuo Fan had found him. Though he wasn't afraid the arrows were this close to turning Zhuo Fan into a pincushion. He had bigger things to worry about than the shooter under the shocked and disbelieving gazes. Zhuo Fan lifted his right arm like a king and snapped his fingers just as the first arrow reached his chest, demanding, Go! Whoosh! The hundreds of arrows disappeared, appearing 1,000 meters away, aimed at Jibi's hidey hole. What the hell? Jibi was scared out of his mind and dropped all demeanor, now surrounded by his own attack with blasts galore. Each arrow went for where it hurt. Flashes streaked the night sky on and off, in tune with the wails of agony in between. Venturing a guess, it was safe to assume that the divine archer had no friggin' clue how the hell this had happened. His first lab rat for his newest ultimate was himself. Something black and smoking plopped onto the ground, twitching now and then, squirting blood from God knew where. All that was secondary, though. What mattered was the gibberish coming from his mouth, with shock reflecting clearly in his eyes, more or less along the lines of cursing and wailing. Zhuo Fan's right eye's golden halo subsided, and he laughed. Ha ha ha, a true, sky-piercing wolf and a flawless aim. Every last one of those hundreds of arrows hit true. I bow before the master. Taubeliener and Jalahen were slack-jawed. Their minds were spewing curses, obscenities, and vulgarity faster than that divine archer's shot. What just happened? What did he do? Oh God. Lost was the look of confidence and pride on the two. All they could express was fear and shock. Where the hell did he come from? The arrows just turned on their own maker without so much as a warning. How in blazes is that even possible? Zhuo Fan smiled his creepy grin. Miss Liener, it appears that we have a winner in our little bet. I do hope you'll concede. Gulping, the two faltered away from Zhuo Fan. Looking at him like he was a monster hell itself, spat out. Zhuo Fan wasn't just brawn, but armed with fancy tricks. Now they realized how true Zhuge Chongfeng's warning rang. He had cleaved through the 7 houses by himself so far for a damn good reason. Sweet mother of mercy. Just who in hell would ever mess with this freak? They even praised Regent Estates balls for actually fighting this guy for so long. Miss Liener, there are 2 kinds of people I abhor. The overconfident ones and weasels. You've checked the first type. Now I hope, for your sake, you won't make the mistake of checking the second. I may have to actually get serious. Zhuo Fan stared them down. Tauba, Lianer's heart, was in pain. Zhuo Fan had appropriated all of her shaping springback in Beast King Mountain, and along with all those ingredients on top, leaving her high and dry, and now he had the cheek to preach to her about Welchers. This guy was a filthy skeeve. Jalahin was turning red, wanting to plunge his head into something. Anything. He was Chuanrong's finest in terms of strength, cleaning the battlefield like a reaper on his day off. Yet this invincible and prideful warrior had just stepped out for a second to put a profound heaven bugger in his place. But lo and behold, the awe-inspiring savage wolf was taught a lesson in humility instead. His prideful heart found it hard to even beat, but what could you do? This world was based on power. If the guy had you beat and said you were a disgrace, then that answered that. You could be in denial all you want, but you better damn well sit back and take it. If you know what's good for you. Or you could always retort, but was your fist tougher? Didn't think so. Compared to Tianyu, who practiced righteousness, the Chuanrong revered the strong. In front of Zhuo Fan's power, the two couldn't get a word in. At least the average second generation would be looking for a backer right about now, like "my dad's the mayor" or something. But wait, the Chuanrong despised such things. A loss was a loss, regardless of how, to the point that they weren't even shouting out the fact that they were delegates. With diplomatic immunity, kill me! Tauba, Liener stuck out her neck. Stubborn as a mule, Zhuo Fan grinned, his fingers crackling. Are you sure that you want to test me? You may be the Chuanrong delegation, finding jaywalking normal. But when going after the best steward beneath heavens, I have the right to judge you. Zhuo Fan's fist flashed red, his killing intent skyrocketing. Chapter 398 Exposed. Chapter 398 Exposed. Steward Zhuo, please stop. An anxious shout came as Zhuo Fan's bloodthirst grew and grew. Zhuge Changfeng rushed over with some men. They're the Chuanrong delegation. No matter what they are accused of, charging them isn't so simple. Zhuo Fan eyed him. Prime Minister Zhuge, by the looks of things, you know what they're up to. Then you must also realize that they came here to kill me. Steward Zhuo, please listen. They have come to solve their private matters. It has nothing to do with politics. You know what will happen if you kill them. That is not something you'd want. Zhuge Changfeng knew from a mile away that Zhuo Fan was no saint, willing to forgive and forget. So instead of appealing to his non-existing humanity, Zhuge Changfeng baited him with cold, hard benefits. If you let them go, I promise they will be of use to Steward Zhuo one day. You are an intelligent man. I needn't say more. Zhuo Fan was pondering. Zhuge Changfeng pointed out that the delegation were all in close relation with Commander Tuoba Taishan at the border. If they died in Tianyu, the old man would march his army down south. That would mean two things. First, the doer would be the culprit. With Zhuo Fan killing them, his head would be the only thing that could appease him. But would Zhuo Fan just hand it over like that? No way in hell. And the Chuanrong would take advantage of the chaos in Tianyu and invade. The emperor definitely didn't want that, so he'd choose the second option. One that would let the emperor sleep with peace of mind. If Chuanrong invaded, the whole of Tianyu shall resist it, the 8 houses and the 4 pillars included. As for you, Zhuo Fan, the culprit behind it all, let this go, but go out there and fight. Fight till your last breath and bleed out on the battlefield. The emperor would not only have all the other factions weakened in the name of Tianyu's safety, he'd also showcase Tianyu's power and give the Chuanrong a lesson they will not soon forget. It would end up with everyone being the loser except the emperor now. That right, there was a classic case of the fisherman. Zhuo Fan clenched his fists, then relaxed his killing intent. Zhuge Changfeng eased a breath, knowing Zhuo Fan still cared about the big picture. It's so nice to talk to smart people. Before he finished, though, Zhuo Fan Snicker had something to say. Right, Prime Minister, sir, this time you owe me. I'll be sure to collect it in due time. Zhuge Changfeng let out a strained laughter. The kid sure knows how to take advantage. He knows letting them live is in his best interest. yet he is saying that he only did it for me. Then again, with how close he was to the Chuanrong, Zhuo Fan's words weren't that far off. All right, I owe you one. I will do my all when you need me. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes flashing. Zhuo Fan dumped his hostages in Zhuge Changfeng's care. Walking away like the average bystander, the 4 scheming demons had heard the commotion and scampered over on the double. But seeing that the party was a bust, they slumped into depression. Ah, we were late for the fun. Zhuo Fan glanced over at them and thought, perfect timing. Dumping the trio of babes in their hands, he went to take care of his own matters with the Lantern Festival ruined. Buildings in shambles, people running scared, and nothing else to see here. The girls went home. Zhuo Fan watched Zhuge Changfeng's Chuanrong with a twisted smile. His right eye flashed golden, and he was gone whoosh. 2 shadows popped up the next second in Zhuo Fan's place, looking all over. God damn it! The rotten brat moves around without logic with his twisted skill. Just how are we supposed to follow? Let's just report back to the captain. We've just been given the damn slip. The other shadow was gone. The first one left just as quickly in this desolate area, even though no one was in sight. The earth squirmed from time to time. 2 hours later, in the garrison, Zhuge Changfeng sported a dark look facing Tuoba Lufeng and Han Tiamo. Next to him were the ashamed Taoba Liener and Jia Lahan with a broken arm, something black, as night rested on the bed. It was only when Liena said that thing was sky-piercing Wolf Jabi did they actually believe it being let in on the whole story. The 2 were left speechless. Chuanrong's brave warriors, 8 Wolf Warden's 2nd and 3rd team members, did a joint attack and were flicked back with practiced ease. And the opponent even strolled away like nothing happened if not for Zhuge Changfeng's timely arrival. They'd be dead by now. Tuoba Lufeng didn't set out to cast blame on the trio, but instead was overwhelmed by the cruel affair. Zhuo Fan was an abomination. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. I warned you not to step on his toes. And yet you... Forgive us, Prime Minister Zhuge. I failed in teaching my sister. I will make sure this never happens again. Tuoba Lufeng bowed, glaring at Liener and Jia Lahan until their faces were red from shame. As for Jabi, he was just laying there in his blackness hum. The earth squirmed, and Hu Lianchai came out. He gave his salute and said, Prime Minister, sir, Zhuo Fan had a tale like you predicted, but he is truly remarkable. I don't know how he did it, but he even left me behind, not just those 2. The 2 tales left to report instead of following you here. Ha ha ha, they're His Majesty's men, all right. But that kid sure is cunning and sly like a fox. There may very well be no one in Tianyu capable of following him. Those 2 guys were merely trying their luck. Zhuge Changfeng mocked and praised. Obscure wolf, you are quite smart yourself to come to me first for help. Good, very good. Prime Minister, sir, that Zhuo Fan was too much of a monster. I was afraid of being wiped out and thought only sir could help. Without Prime Minister Zhuge's help, my sister and my men would have been slaughtered at the hands of that twisted maniac. As a brother and young commander, I express my deepest gratitude. Tuoba Lufeng gave a 90 degrees down angle. Bao Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Young master, there's no need. Even without my interference, Zhuo Fan wouldn't have killed them. Tuoba Lufeng was lost, but sister said his killing intent was actually visible. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. He is not feared for his brawn, but for his insidious and twisted mind. His savage routine was all to draw me out. The one who comes out to save you first is bound to be the one closest to you. I presume that even His Majesty knows about our connection now. What? Tuoba Lufeng cried. What do we do now? Zhuge Changfeng said it's fine. The difference between overt and covert schemes is that the latter will never see the light of day, while the former does not have such limitations. It won't change a thing even if they do know. The events will continue to play out like normal. I can no longer stop them. But wouldn't it have been better if we weren't exposed? Tuoba Lufeng sighed. Prime Minister, sir, why did you come out knowing Zhuo Fan's intent? Zhuge Changfeng's brow trembled, and he spoke in a dark tone. Because I couldn't gamble whether Zhuo Fan act or not and chose to play it safe. I have read many people in my life, but only 2 have failed to open to me like a book. He is one of them. Everyone was stunned. Zhuge Changfeng was known as the best mind in Tianyu, yet he couldn't see through a brash kid. Zhuge Changfeng smiled in reply to their thoughts. I caught a glimpse of him before the esoteric debate, but ever since after the event he is closed to me. Or it may be that I don't even want to see. Because in that battle he had done terrible and unimaginable things. What? Taobo Liana lit up Zhuge Changfeng's side. He lost his mind over a girl. It was my first time seeing him like this. In his madness he had executed some of the most savage ploys, ending with the death of Regent Estate's eldest young master and plunging the Luo clan into the twisted world of politics before its time. All of these were rash and ill-advised choices. He was sure of it as well, but made them anyway. From that moment, unwanted contriver could no longer read him, and I do not dare fathom his train of thoughts. No one can grasp when he's going to snap or play it cool. Zhuge Changfeng took a deep breath. You now know why I exposed myself and why I had to save you. It is impossible for me to tell if his actions are driven by lunacy or insidious lull. Han Tianmo and the rest sighed, scared by a man who was too unbalanced or unreadable to guess what his next action would be. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan went to a tea house to meet with a black robe. Chapter 399, Sensitive Talk. Chapter 399, Sensitive Talk. January 1st, 2022. Zhuo Fan used discerning field to scan for any nosy neighbors. Only then did he walk into the tea house and sat across from the black robe. Who knew this day would come when you'd ask me out? The black robe kept his hood low, hiding his features. Zhuo Fan smiled. We're all old friends in a way. Chatting around a cup of tea after so long is pretty normal. Cut the act. You know it well enough that our grudge can't be mitigated. We never had any friendly chats. The black robe sipped his tea, his words cold. Zhuo Fan giggled. Well, looky here how you've improved. Think I can't snap your head right here, right now? Yes, I do. The man shook his head. You would have long killed me by now, otherwise. I am not your match. But since I've answered your invitation, I'm sure you didn't come here just to finish me off. Zhuo Fan grinned. I see you've done some growing up over the past years. Not just a conniving mentality, but nerves too. Just like that old demon back in the day. Shuddering, the black robe's grip on the teacup tensed. Yet he continued sipping the green tea. I'll keep it nice and simple. The report I have from my house of spies puts you in a precarious position at a crossroad. And have you come to threaten me with it? The black robe's cold tone cut Zhuo Fan off. See how much good will that do? My 2 employers agree on my choice. You won't be using that on me any time soon. You've pegged me all wrong. I didn't come here to threaten you. Instead, just to talk. If you're interested, Zhuo Fan stared hard at him. How about a 3-way crossroad? Mind considering taking a step towards the Luo clan as well? Shuddering, the man cried in disbelief. What did you say? I think I was clear enough. Zhuo Fan chuckled. A sly person always has a fallback. Why not get one extra? For you it comes with no downsides. Don't tell me you haven't been considering it. You're insane. We're enemies. The black robe roared, slapping the table. I'll never help you. Zhuo Fan mocked. You're so outdated. Very. This will probably be the highest you can go. What did you say? Nothing really. Before the esoteric debate, I met Zhuge Changfeng and talked. He asked me, I and Lung Wucheng scheme for our own personal gains. So why do you stay a mere steward to a run-down third-rate clan? My answer was simple. My ambitions go beyond his. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with malice. The way I see it, be it some unwanted contriver or the greatest mind of this empire, I will always be better. As for you, you're not even at their level. Your scope is tiny. Shuddering, the the black robe dazed out. His mind drifted to a fan, just sat there, waiting. He sighed at one point and stood up. I see that you still don't understand. Never mind then. I don't have the time to wait for you to catch up. One moment. The man stopped him and said, Tianyu is on the brink of anarchy. What promises do I have that your Luo clan will come out on top? If I were to say because yours truly is around, Luo clan will have the last laugh, you probably won't believe me, so. Grinning, Zhuo Fan said, I will let you stay at the three-way crossroad. You will have the luxury to pick the winning side. The man replied after a pause, You don't expect me to burn the other 2 bridges to take yours, do you? Of course not. You're no fool, and won't do it even if I tell you to. Everyone is selfish. If the Luo clan falls, you still have the other 2, right? Zhuo Fan had an uncanny smile, like a nice uncle handing candy to children. The black robe nodded. If there are no conflicts of interest, I am open to cooperation. Splendid. It can't be simpler. I won't need you to do something hard anyway. Just do this at the right time and you're in. Zhuo Fan whispered in his ear. The black robe froze, then watched him stunned. Have you lost it? Literally everyone is trying to do anything to not take that wretched and doomed fate. Yet you want to jump right in and be the center of it all. Who do you think you are, Gu Santong? Shrugging, Zhuo Fan said, What else can I do? Everyone is out to get me. Well, someone's got to do it. The man held his gaze, then nodded, praising. Now I understand how you've climbed so far. To others you are ruthless, but a savage to yourself. From what you want of me, I can guess this much. Zhuo Fan is Zhuo Fan, specialized in turning the world upside down. Ha ha ha, please, I'm blushing. Then, to our healthy relationship. Zhuo Fan put his hand out with a smile. The black robe grabbed it with a clap and left into the night. Zhuo Fan grinned before leaving, as well meanwhile, in a refined pavilion, Lung Wucheng was enjoying some fine wine in peace and quiet. A pop sounded, and there came Zhuo Fan. Out of the blue, Lung Wucheng wasn't fazed in the least. He even offered him a drink and a smile. Steward Zhuo, it's been a while. What could have brought upon this invitation? Ha ha ha. A scheming mastermind like Sir Lung can't take a gander? Zhuo Fan, giggled Lung. Wucheng shook his head, enjoying the wine. Ha ha ha. I may venture one on the rest of the masses, but when it comes to Steward Zhuo's treachery, since the esoteric debate, I have stopped taking wild guesses. I ask that you be plain. I shall be terse then. I have invited Sir for a simple question. Go on. Lung Wucheng waved casually. Sir Lung, what do you wish to accomplish by staying in the Regent estate for all these years? Did you grasp it? Zhuo Fan asked. Lung Wucheng's cup shook, his reply bitter. Steward Zhuo, don't patronize me, please. I was on the brink of taking it for myself, but then you came along, and all my plans went up in smoke. Can you blame me? If it weren't me, then Prime Minister Zhuge. If not Prime Minister Zhuge, the still tough emperor. Fine, fine, just say your piece. Lung Wucheng grew impatient. Zhuo Fan turned serious. Sir Lung, you have toiled in the Regent estate for decades with the prize nowhere in sight. Perhaps you may have an easier time down at the Luo clan? What? Lung Wucheng jumped, then cracked up. Steward Zhuo, you've now come to steal me away? Sorry to disappoint, but what I want is something you can't understand. Moreover, the Luo clan has you. Won't adding me make it crowded? And if I'm not in the Luo clan... Squinted Zhuo Fan, Lung Wucheng cried. There's no way that can happen. Following with a shake of his head, if Steward Zhuo is out of the Luo clan, that house will fall apart. There'll be no point. Ha ha ha. Since I plan on leaving, I will make sure to get everything ready and not let it scatter in the wind. To complete my project, I need the help of someone. Zhuo Fan spoke heavily. Sir Lung, Prime Minister Zhuge once said that you and him are the right hand of leaders, but each with their own agenda. I do not know what Prime Minister Zhuge's aim is, but I do have a theory about yours. Do you remember telling me how with the 3 of us together, nothing can stop us? It got me thinking. You may appear conceited, but you wish to prove yourself, to stand out. I am giving you the chance, now, to take all the credit." Zhuo Fan whispered in Lung Wucheng's ear. Lung Wucheng's calm slowly gave way to shock, and then his eyes became bugged out. "Steward Zhuo, that's a huge undertaking. You plan on uniting the continent?" Lung Wucheng asked. Still in shock, Zhuo Fan smiled. "Never dreamed of it. I am not a schemer at heart, but a cultivator yearning for the Tao, while Sir Lung is more than eager to have such a grand achievement." Lung Wucheng nodded with a frown. "Yes, this is the greatest achievement of all times. But with Regent Estate's legacy, it's no problem grasping it. Why then do you insist on having me turn to the Luo clan?" "Because that's where I am, and there are some things only I can provide." Zhuo Fan put on a mysterious smile. "I won't force Sir Lung to make a decision now. All you have to do is a nudge from you at the right moment, and you'll be on board. As for the future, you can help the Regent Estate as its steward in any way you wish. And if the Luo clan falls, you won't be feeling any repercussions." Lung Wucheng gave a nod. Zhuo Fan smiled, whispering sensitive matters in his ears. All the pieces were in play, and all that was left was to wait for him. A fate changer and an anomaly to unleash anarchy. Chapter 400, Centennial Jubilee. Chapter 400, Centennial Jubilee. 5 days later, Tianyu's emperor held his centennial jubilee. The world was at peace, the clans were attending, the Chuanrong delegation came bearing gifts, and the 8 noble houses were present. The entire nation was in celebration. Zhuo Fan, who hardly ever cleaned up his act, was positively radiating, looking handsome and charming. The one thing he couldn't get rid of was his trademark evil smile. The celebration is the beginning of the end. Just wait and see, humph. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, and he left the house. Luo clan's members were already waiting, and their eyes lit up on his arrival with Zhuo Fan being so lazy and uncaring of his image as usual. Seeing him all freshened up and dressed was a remarkable sight. Luo Yunchang and Yun Shuang's eyes sparkled. "Steward Zhuo, are you going on a date? Looking at you all spruced up. I wonder how many ladies' hearts are you going to steal?" Captain Pang laughed. Luo Yunhai nodded, while Zhuo Fan had a vague smile. "It is His Majesty's anniversary today. How could I not dress the part to show my utmost respect? Anyhow, he did make me the best steward beneath heavens." "Brother Zhuo, you don't usually mind such niceties. How is it that today?" Captain Pang was lost. Zhuo Fan shook his head, turning to Luo Yunhai. "Yunhai, no matter what happens, you mustn't panic. As a clan head, the least you must have is a steady mind." Luo Yunhai nodded, clueless as he was. "As for you dwarfs, do you still remember what I told you last night?" Zhuo Fan snapped to the 4 scheming demons, laughing. The 4 pygmies were determined. "Steward Zhuo, if there's one thing we're good at, it's that. Ha ha ha." "What's that?" "Zhuo Fan, what are you up to now?" Luo Yunchang asked. Zhuo Fan shook his head with a smile. "It's nothing. Come on." Luo Yunchang could only look at him in suspicion, following the others. When the time came to take the carriage to Imperial Palace, instead of taking a ride with Yunhai and her like usual, he shared one with Yun Shuang. This left her stunned and crestfallen. Yun Shuang jerked. Her cheeks blushed, and she was about to refuse. But the jerk that Zhuo Fan always was entered the carriage without a care, and even pulled her close with an evil grin. "Schwanger, is something wrong, or do you not like my company?" "Not at all. But shouldn't you go with young miss?" She neither had been on the Luo clan's premises for a couple of days, nor was born yesterday. It was obvious to her that Luo Yunchang was carrying a torch for Zhuo Fan, while Zhuo Fan, being the steward, and Luo Yunchang being the master, complemented each other. While she, the outsider, felt quite awkward getting so close with another's man, Zhuo Fan didn't mind it in the least, wearing the same snickering smile. "You should get used to it then. We will be spending many days together in the future." "What?" Yun Shuang stared at Zhuo Fan, cheeks blazing. She couldn't make sense of his words, and her heart was jumping to conclusions one beat at a time. Her heart got so fast that it felt like it had burst out of her chest. Zhuo Fan sat there calmly, wearing the same all-knowing look. Luo clan's convoy was going down the imperial capital's main street en route to the imperial palace. The crown prince was waiting at the gates along with his two brothers. Yu and Yong grinned. Crown prince nodded, and the second prince's face twitched. There was a distinct possibility that he recalled a particularly painful event for his mood to sink. The other two knew why, of course, choosing to ignore him and proceeding to welcome the guests. Luo Yunhai and Luo Yunchang came out of the first carriage. The princes looked inside at the empty ride and wondered, where's Steward Zhua? Zhua Fan walked out of the second carriage. Leading a blushing Yun Shuang by the hand, the two princes jumped to conclusions on the spot. Luo Yunchang was staring daggers at the couple, her heart consumed by jealousy. When did they get so close? Sigh, some outstanding men have so much appeal, everyone wants them. Nobody noticed the second prince in the corner, showing an odd look seeing the two princes so close to the couple. Brother Zhua, you're an eminent romantic. Every time I see you, you're holding a bell in each arm. Mind letting this bachelor in on your little secret? His largeness sighed. Zhua Fan merely waved. Fatty, I'll be frank here. Everything before was a lie, while only today is real. Yun Shuang blushed harder, her heart frantic. When did Steward Zhua have such feelings for me? Luo Yunchang shuddered, her mind blown. It was the first time Zhua Fan was open about his feelings, never speaking of them even in front of Chu Qingqing. Why is he suddenly baring his soul for a lady he had met not a month ago? Is it because she bears a striking resemblance to Ninger? Luo Yunchang felt bitter as the crown prince laughed. Congratulations, Steward Zhua. Holy maiden and a hero make for a match made in heaven. Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan held his head high with a confident smile. Yun Shuang was already riper than a tomato. Lowering her head in confusion, she still didn't understand what had just happened. When did I and Steward Zhua become an item? Please, this way. The crown prince flourished Zhua Fan, led Yun Shuang in front, entering the grand hall. He noticed the other houses, and Zhuge Changfeng and Duge Zhantian were all there. Even the Chuanrong delegation was present, glancing at the still pale Zhalahen and Jibi. Zhua Fan put on a savage smile, bringing out the fear in their eyes. Han Tianma and Tuoba Lufeng scanned him. Getting shocked by the second, it was hard to fathom how a young man like Zhua Fan possessed such godlike power. He had to be taken out yesterday. The problem was finding the means to carry this act out. Steward Zhua, a new fling, I see. An odd voice jarred Zhua Fan's eardrums. It was Drifting Flowers Edifice's peony overseer. She took Chu Qingqing's place in expressing her total objection with fiery and angry eyes. Peony, silence. Don't be rude. Grandmother glared at her and then smiled at Zhua Fan. Ha ha ha. Steward Zhua, don't mind her temper. How could I? She is right after all. I do have a new fling. Zhua Fan pulled Yun Shuang's hand for emphasis, flashing past the people and towards the Luo clan's lavish seats, making sure to seat Yun Shuang right next to him. His act made all the girls frown with envy. Secondly, Yun Shuang was blushing even harder, being showered by the Drifting Flowers Edifice's stares. She couldn't meet their gazes, feeling shameful for doing something she shouldn't. Like snatching Zhua Fan away, the thing was, she was clueless towards whatever that was going on here. Zhua Fan being the main perpetrator, and so Yun Shuang sat on pins and needles, looking crushed next to Zhua Fan. Her eyes were even tearing up. The houses, officials, and the delegation took their seats soon after, followed by the princes going in front. The crown prince smiled. Ha ha ha. Today is my imperial father's centennial jubilee and national holiday. All of you coming here, especially Chuanrong's delegation coming from afar, have brought much honor with your presence. A grand occasion for Tianyu and Chuanrong to join hands. Rolling his eyes, Tuoba Liufeng's side wasn't used to Tianyu's customs, preaching hypocrisies and all that. All I hear is that we've come to celebrate, that it's you who are the winners in this, and you're even thankful. What kind of joke is this? No one understood that, in Tianyu, the emperor ruled supreme. You newcomers have come bearing gifts for the emperor, giving him prestige. Of course, we'd take advantage of you. Why else do you think you're standing here? Faced with such tangled logic, the terse Chuanrong could never wrap their heads around it. While the crown prince brushed up on his oratory skills, singing praises and all that, in the imperial study, the emperor in his best clothes was putting on a mean face, ready to join the festivities. Is everyone here? The emperor's eyes flashed as Shadow kneeled. Your Majesty, they are. Please give us orders. Good. I can finally see the end of this game. With carefree steps, the smiling emperor walked up to his desk and did a checkmate. The secret pearl order from 1,000 years ago is finally implemented. Tianyu is mine after all. Making a fist, the emperor turned and briskly walked towards the hall with the servants in tow. Woo. Finally we made it to 400. Chapter 401. Lands of Our Nation. Chapter 401. Lands of Our Nation. His Majesty has arrived. The sharp voice announced. The emperor in his dragon robe walked through the center of the hall with large, confident steps. Followed by dozens of guards, the princes stepped aside in a respectful bow. Be it the officials, the houses, or Chuanrong delegation, everyone stood up and bowed to the man's glorious and stern countenance. The emperor took his seat on the throne, and his eyes roamed the crowd. Today is my birthday, a day to celebrate for the entire nation. Everyone is welcome to the festivities, as are the faraway Chuanrong delegation. Take your seats. Thank you, Your Majesty. May you live a long and prosperous life. Everyone bowed again before sitting. The crown prince came before the emperor with a salute and a bow. The entire empire is in jubilation of your anniversary, Imperial Father. I have also prepared a special gift for this unique occasion. May Your Majesty live a long and prosperous life. Oh, Crown Prince has always been wise. I would like to see this gift. It must be a truly remarkable item. Ha, the emperor laughed. Bring it forth. Two servants lifted a painting and unveiled it before the crowd. Masterstrokes of the pen. A poignant ink smell and flamboyant writing were presented. The painting showed lofty mountains and vibrant rivers. So vivid they could practically jump out of the paper. In the right corner was written Danqing Shun in bold strokes. Toba Lufeng cried out. Is that mad painter Shun the best in the western lands, the lands of our nation masterpiece? Correct. Young Master Tauba has a good eye. It is indeed one of Senior's rare heirlooms. Lands of our nation. Crown Prince grinned. Looking at the guests in pride, drew a fan. Didn't get it. What was so great about some brushwork? In a world where might made one right, what was an egghead painter supposed to be worth? He would soon find out, though, just how valuable and shocking this painting was. Everyone knows, be it Chuanrong or Tianyu, that the western lands hold a tiny and insignificant little kingdom. Yet 8 centuries ago, a talent was born in the same kingdom. Not only did his power surpass the kingdom's, but he was a scholar fascinated by painting, excelling in pen and sword. He alone had overcome 10 great sects, becoming the uncontested #1. Everyone was watching Crown Prince, their ears focused. Every clan with even an ounce of renown had heard of this legend. But no one took it to be true, that a man like that was a painter. As for the newcomer Zhuofan, he was oblivious to it all, but every single man here held deep respect for such an unworldly expert. So he listened as while Crown Prince cleared his throat, basking in the gazes of everyone. Legend has it that he drew one incomparable masterpiece, the lands of our nation. In those days, he watched his lands in turmoil, and a crazy ambition was born from his obsession with painting. And anyone who brings this painting to him will have their dearest wish fulfilled, even helping them establish their own nation. Everyone was startled. With Western lands' first experts' help, one could have all the lands he wanted. Even the entire West Tuoba Lufeng was grave, trembling each time he watched the scroll. If the legend turns true, that means Tianyu has a deadly weapon. We have to have it. Tuoba Lufeng and Han Tiama's eyes met, and they gave each other a secret nod. A casual voice was heard. Your Highness, where is this Danqing Shin now? Ugh. The crown prince turned to Zhuofan, cleared his throat once, and said subdued, "They say the senior has been missing for 8 centuries, and no one has found any clues of him since." "TCH," Joa mocked. "What damn use does a damn painting have if you can't find the right damn person?" Laughter burst all over. Joa was blunt as a birch stump, but made damn sense too. The guy was gone for 800 years, so getting his painting wouldn't get you an inch of land. It was only good for showing off. Tuoba Lufong and Han Tima paused. How could an expert gone missing 8 centuries ago appear? In the end, the painting was just that, a piece of paper with ink on it. It posed no threat. The Crown Prince's cheeks burned. Glaring at Joa, "For God's sake, you've upstaged me. I gave you all those treasures for nothing." The way the Crown Prince figured, this gift was useless, but using the legend around it, he would show off and earn his daddy's attention. But one simple line from Joa had ruined everything. "Now the imperial father will mock my gift." Though his heart was a mess, the emperor was calm. "Crown Prince, I understand your good intentions for me, the people, and the land. Using disreputable means to gain land won't last the test of time. The painting may not be practical, but it is a work of art. I shall accept it. Thank you, Imperial Father, for your guidance." Crown Prince bowed, gratified that the emperor got him out of that mortifying moment. "Present the reward." The emperor said the closest servant brought the Crown Prince a case containing a jade scepter. "Crown Prince, you are my eldest, and I wish for you to be safe and have all your dreams come true. Thank you, Imperial Father." Crown Prince made a deep bow, touched to the core. Joa mocked. "How touched can you be when a lame scepter won't even get you a mountain?" It was the second prince's turn to come forth. "May Imperial Father be as content as the sea, your rule as long as the mountains. This gift of mine is a token of my appreciation and sincerity." His hand flashed, and a 9-foot-long heaven-drawn halberd smashed the ground, shaking the feast. The guards' response was quick in posing themselves before the emperor. Only at his casual wave did they withdraw. "Child," what the emperor's beard shook, sighing inside, "my second son has always been filled with valor, yet not an ounce of propriety." Second Prince proudly declared, "Imperial Father, this is heaven-piercing cloud halberd, an 8th-grade spiritual weapon, a rare find that I have toiled much to bring to you." Be that as it may, what am I to do with this toy, son?" The emperor's pained voice came. Second Prince froze. "Of course I've brought it for your safety, Imperial Father. Isn't that obvious? Or rather, you would stick to the elder brother's side, but not mine." Second Prince turned glum. "Imperial Father, this 8th-grade spiritual weapon is far better than my eldest brother's painting." Joa snorted and rolled his eyes. Everyone watched the Second Prince with a heavy look. "Dude, sure your toothpick is better than Crown Prince's paper, but you need to think of the circumstances. Today's Emperor's anniversary, so you brought him a weapon to hail him long life? It would have worked for Marshal Duga, though. You are getting off easy being the Emperor's son. Anyone else would have got the chopping block by now." The Emperor sighed and shook his head, forcing a nod. "I accept your gift, but I am unable to use it, so I will bestow it to you. I hope that it may help you in defending Tianyu and strike at the heart of its enemies." 2 servants pulled the halberd from the floor and presented it back to the Second Prince. Second Prince grew flustered. "Wait, Imperial Father, that's the same as not taking my gift. Is my 8th-grade spiritual weapon less than the elder brother's painting? Please reconsider, Imperial Father." The Emperor's face hardened and his eyes grew cold. "Younger, remember this. What I give you, you will accept without question. What I don't give you, don't ever try to take it. Am I clear?" Shuddering, the Second Prince could feel the Emperor's bloodthirst on his skin and nodded in fear. He withdrew. While holding the halberd, the Emperor perked up and nodded, but the mood was ruined, with the guests having lost their jovial air. They had witnessed the son of heaven's cruel and savage power. The Emperor was not the mild and tempered old man, but a savage beast ready to jump out of that decrepit skin.